All right, welcome to Pre-Senate Subcommittee Episode 12. Subcommittee is now in session. Come on in. The water is nice and jizzy. What's up, chat? How's it going? We'll introduce Demogeny and Preston of Pocket Jacks Comics first.
Hello.
And tell us a little about yourselves, and we'll start just getting all gay up in here.
Okay. I guess I'll go first.
Go ahead, man. You got it.
Right now, up on Kickstarter, because it's a better platform, just might as well throw down the gauntlet. I got White Lily issue 3, which is from people who are reading my stuff. They say this is like my best work, so I'm pretty happy about that. I printed up an advanced copy. Just got back from Phoenix Fan Fusion, and there's 1 week left on that campaign. So if anybody's interested, you can just look for White Lily over on Kickstarter.
Daddy.
Sorry, my kid's coming back in my mouth.
That's an interesting sound effect if somebody was doing an audio drop.
Hey, go watch TV. Go watch the 70 Show. Go with Mom. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No, yeah, it sounds good. Man, there's a couple projects I got to back. I backed Wenger's Superhero Digital, the Shinobi or whatever Sasquatch.
You have to back Shinobi Sasquatch. I mean, there's no way you can't be interested in a ninja who is also Bigfoot.
Yeah, you're on my radar, and then there's the Caius guy.
What's that?
I don't really know the story, but it's like a manga style, I think.
Okay.
And just the way he presented like his video was just like, it's just music and it's balls to walls, and it's just black and white. Not my style in any means, but his presentation in that video, the pitch video.
A lot of comics gate projects I've noticed tend to just say "fuck the colorist." I don't know why.
I prefer. Well, it's saving money, but
yeah.
But no, it's it's also like, well, who do you know? Who do you trust? That type of stuff as well, probably. But no, I want to get the Caius guy on. Maybe next week. I know his campaign's about to close, but yeah. How far are you? Are you funded yet, or like
no,
how far
not
away
yet.
are you?
I'm not. I'm a rather dislikable person. So people don't like following me, but they like my work, which I appreciate. So I'm about 75% of the way there. So I should hit it, but I've got about 1,000 to go and a week to hit it. So. Yeah.
Okay, what's the fund total? Like
the fund
trying to get?
Let's see. So I'm trying to get $5,000, and right now I'm at 3,800.
Okay, that's not bad. Vinny Tartamala, he's a guy, and I was wondering like, how the hell did I find this guy? You just like him on Twitter or something, and then just start following him and realize. No, it was actually I saw him in a stream of another YouTuber I follow, getting into comics, but followed his art, and then I was like, hey, let's get you on. Let's try to get you a little bit more boosted.
Was that the artist who did the horror comic with the kind of
cabin?
Yeah, the cabin. Yeah, I want to say Cabin in the Woods, but that's a movie.
No, yeah, it was pretty good, and there's definitely hints to come forward from this. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table going forward.
Is he on the stream?
No.
Red
Gaze. Yeah, Red Gaze is here with us. He's a Comic Skate commenter. We got Demogeny, who's a buddy in the Fandom Menace, and of course you, who I met through Rookie, had a great stream with, and I want to get you on sooner. Sorry I haven't got you on sooner, but luckily still got you on to help try to get you seen by more people. So
thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, no problem. Demogeny.
Greetings. Yes. Sorry. Yes. My name is Demogeny. I'm so glad everybody's finally getting my name right. But yes, I'm a proud member of the Fandom Menace. I hate Disney Star Wars. Matter of fact, I hate Disney, period. And you can check out my channel for all things pop culture. And sometimes I may touch political. But political is more my music side of things. I try to actually not do so much commentary on that. But those are the treats I give every now and then.
Yeah, you upload what, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Yep, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays is a live stream. So actually tomorrow I'll be doing a live stream. And it's going to be kind of early because I got to close tomorrow. So unfortunately, if you guys want to roll with me, tomorrow's going to be an early one.
Nice. Do you know what time you're going to be streaming?
Probably shoot before 11 o'clock.
Oh, wow. That's like right when I get to work. So awesome. You'll be keeping me busy, which I appreciate.
Yep.
I'm reading a comic book over here because I'm used to like multi-party live streams. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to check out while people are doing stuff.
No, I kept mine kind of short. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
No, also it's funny too because I've been trying to read. I found it randomly. I found the Messiah Complex X-Men at the comic store months ago, and I love the artwork. So I'm like, yeah, I'll buy this. And then I realized this is part of a series, and it's part of the House of M, which is part of leads into Civil War. So it's like a huge event that kind of reset Marvel in a way. And I just kind of grabbed it blindly. House of M from 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I went back and reread House of M because I took so long off between Messiah Complex and the Cable middle of the trilogy.
Yeah.
So I happen to I'm like, I got a bunch of comics I've gotten cheap but I haven't read. So I started reading Mystique by Brian K. Vaughan. At least the first half of the series is. It's a 24-issue series, and I'm loving it. It's amazing. There's little hints of if this was written today.
Cool.
These angles of women and stuff with Mystique would be total SJW, but it's
I'm reading right now. I just picked up a comic book and I'm reading it, and it's X-Men 18, Uncanny X-Men 18. And one of the things I liked about it is I really loved in that 90s thing where the X-Men did the war with I forget the name of the bad guy team, but it had Sabretooth and Arclight and Inuit who could throw those energy spears. And it was the one where all the Morlocks got massacred. A lot of bad things happened in that 90s fight off between the X-Men and whatever that bad guy team was that they kind of brought back.
Sorry, speaking of old comics, I haven't actually read an old comic in years. I mean, I think the last thing I had was the Buffy season 8 was the last thing I was collecting.
So, but this one, is showing that bad guy team again. I'm checking out Arclight. I'm like, nice boobs, Arclight. She's got this form-fitting costume, and her body is very idealized. So, Can
you show me the picture again? I'm on the Hangouts now to look at it.
See, Arclight is right there. That is Arclight.
Nice bobs.
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain.
Yeah. Sorry for the background noise. I asked for a guess before we started. How loud my kids actually pick up? Apparently, quite well.
Quite.
So, I'm sorry about that because I bought these. I know they're cheap on the cheap end, but they're noise canceling headphones. So I thought that would keep it very focused just in my face. But nope, I need to get a what is that? The Yeti or whatever, or the Snowball.
I'm kind of an audio snob. If you watch my videos, one thing I do that I think you're probably not going to find on most other channels. In fact, I would be so bold as to say you're not going to find it on any other channel. I actually don't have one microphone here. I have two. I have one here and I have one here, and I can tell you which microphones they are. And they're a few years old. You can actually pick them up on eBay, for $40. Although you would need their condenser mics, so you need your own mixer then to plug it into, and then a USB connection. But they sound good. The old microphone I was using would pick up road noise. These, you don't hear any road noise. And because I have two, I tend to be kind of dynamic. I'll move my head around from here to here. And that means I'm moving closer to this microphone or closer to this microphone, which I then, for my YouTube videos, divide into a left and a right channel. So it kind of sounds like I'm in the room with you. So...
Yeah, no, it's cool.
If you want some audio advice, I'm good for that.
Maybe once I get our computer, because really my goal is to go full bore into a new computer first, and then start doing the attachment. I thought about getting a blue a Yeti, or a Snowball. I'm like, okay, I kind of get this. I'm like, maybe I should wait, and kind of glad I did because I want to just go. Also, you get the $1,700 whatever the i7 processor, so my videos just upload like that and have the best processing power, all that stuff, and then do the attachments. Red Gaze, how's it been going for you?
Oh, it's been going pretty well. Picking up a few subscribers a day here, so that's nice. Just keeping up with some news. But yeah,
what is your channel about?
Well, it's about we just do some movie reviews, keeping up with the Star Wars and MCU gossip, Comicsgate stuff, just indie comic stuff in general. I just actually dropped. I started a new series called Gig Crashing. Just once a week, every Friday, I'm going to try to cover a new project that I see that looks good, and just that kind of stuff. Rolling along.
Sounds good.
Sorry, no, I was just replying. I thought you were going to draw it just like another second.
Sorry,
So
I'm not the
pause.
best pitcher in the world. I'm still working on that.
No, dude, I'm awful too. That's why I script my videos, because otherwise I ramble for 30 minutes trying to get to my point, because I'm like, yeah, this thing, and then it's like, yeah, like the Egyptians or whatever, and it's like, where the fuck are we going, and so it's like, this helps. Yeah, scripting really helps hone me in, but live stream is kind of different because I can bounce off people's ideas and stuff, and I keep pen and paper handy at all times to keep my points focused. I know my limitations. I tell people, even if you don't, you never know when you're going to have that thing on the tip of your tongue and you can't get it out.
A man's got to know his limitations.
That tip of the tongue thing happens a lot, actually.
Yeah, I almost did it with the manager at my work. He called when we had a tornado warning at like midnight, and I'm like, I'm from Oklahoma, dude. Like, I'm pretty jaded. I don't give a shit. If a tornado's gonna kill me in Ohio, like, who cares? And I was saying something like, "Oh, what is the fucking word?" And I was like stuck, and I was like, yeah, it took me a while, but right before I'm like, that's the word. And you can hear in his voice like, I didn't really give a fuck, but but it's satisfying for you when you finish it.
Yeah, man, you gotta announce that to the world. Let them know.
So, Demajin, do you watch basketball at all? I know we talked a bit. I think you don't. You're not really a
sports
guy.
I'm not the sports guy in the group, so I mean I might be a little out of it, but listen, if you got to do it, I can pop in and out on that, No,
you're fine, dude. It's because what we're talking about is shit I don't follow. Like, normally with the NBA, I'm kind of aware of a few teams that are like looking good or whatever. Then you get
I was amazed that Toronto had a basketball team. That's how out of touch I am. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah, I was telling Rookie Critic because I was.
Are you sure you're not just like joking with me? Like,
even though I'm a, it's okay. So NFL, it's very easy. I'm a Philly fan. Then my number 2, the Titans, and 3 is the Bengals. 4 is the Bears, and then everyone else is kind of like depends on how the season's going. To just kind of pick the legitimate teams of the day to root for. But with basketball, I'm kind of all over the place because my first championship was the Heat, but I kind of hated them because they beat my Pistons, which is my first team I really gravitated towards as a medic. So I kind of gravitate to the Spurs, especially with their Spurs way of winning. They just, they're good, consistent. Go. Sorry. And then I'm from Oklahoma, so you got the Thunder.
Totally ignoring me.
Oh no, I didn't see you came in. I'm sorry, Drunk, but we just started talking about basketball, so you might.
My favorite subject.
But no, it's funny because like I was talking to Rookie Crick, I'm like, dude, I really hope, even though they're in the Pistons division, I hope that the Bucks win, so I don't have to root for a Canadian team. And of course, I'm rooting for a Canadian team of all things.
Yeah, but they're mostly American.
I don't care. They're on Canadian soil.
I don't understand. And I was talking about this a week ago. What is the point of Canadian football?
Oh yeah, no, it's kind of cool actually. They have they kind of compress the rate of play. It's
right, but I'm saying like, why don't they just like get off their high freaking horse and just conform to American football? It's not like anybody else in the world plays anything close to the game of football as we in the United States would recognize it outside of Canada. But Canada's like, well, I guess we could conform to your rules and play in your leagues, but fuck you. And I'm like, what's the point of that? You realize how much money you're giving up by not being in the NFL? I don't understand the point of Canadian football.
Yeah, especially with the precedent of Toronto baseball and basketball, you think they would just kind of join. No, I do agree. It would help with expansion and stuff. But Drunk, since you are the basketball expert galore in this chat, what were your thoughts about this finals game?
It's everything I wanted to see. I love that Drake is giving it to the Warriors. I love it.
That's
love
the
it
only
all.
thing I know is I saw that. I saw the Raptors won game 1, and they're like, oh, I'm listening to the radio because I'm trying to catch back up on sports radio, and I hear, oh yeah, Durant, he's out for at least 6 weeks. At best, he'll be back game 2, but they'll probably already be up 2-0. So who cares? Yada yada. And then you come out of the gate with this. Yeah, now they're
Well,
now they might be
Toronto
sweating.
has never lost to the Spurs this season when they played him in the season with Kevin Durant. They've never lost to him. They just know how to play their defense really well. So
Makes me very happy.
I
can't stand Golden State.
I am
want them to
so
lose.
removed from sports. Why do we? I'd only learned that the Toronto guys were playing the Golden State Warriors because you guys said it. Why do we not like the Golden State Warriors? Because I've noticed people don't like the Golden State Warriors.
Well, they just never they built a super team.
Okay. Is
like
that
a super team, not just a regular super team, but a team that should never lose.
Really? I mean,
so they coasted to the finals the past 5 years. They just won, and it's been very boring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and the only time, and because I live in Ohio,
Cleveland.
I like LeBron. So LeBron pulled one out for. Never happened. They were down 3-1 in a 7-game series, and they won the last 3.
It was epic, by the way.
And it was amazing. But that's really been the only blemish on the Golden State. They could have been a 5-time champion right now, potentially.
Okay.
So it's just it's not just the fact that they win like the Bulls or something. It's no, they're never going away, until we
But if they lose this series, they're gonna go away because everyone's up for a contract. Everyone's gonna want money, and it's gonna be they're well, we lost, so let's just go and get paid.
I mean, that's it. That's interesting because, again, my interest in basketball has been very casual. But I remember growing up in the 80s and then going into the 90s, it was all about the Celtics and the Lakers. And then going into 2000s, it was the Lakers still. And, for the 90s, they had the Bulls in there. But for the LA seemed like the dominant dynasty there for the bulk of that time. And now to hear no, it's all about the Golden State Warriors. I'm like, how the hell did they pull that off?
Yeah, well, with LA though, because even if you hate LA and they got the storied franchise, second only to the Celtics, look at their body of work, even with whether it's Magic or Kobe and Shaq, or even Kobe with Gasol towards the end of his career. Mm-hmm. They worked for those. It wasn't a guaranteed win, despite the brand they had. Now it's Golden State's in there. You're surprised if they're down in any part of the game, if they, if it's a back and forth score, and that's where it's now it's it's worse than the Patriots. The Patriots just win, but when you understand football, free agency, it's a real testament to their craft, keeping that team going. This is you've just bought a super team. It's it's like David and Goliath, but there's no stones for David to throw.
Okay.
Yeah. How does it look going forward, Drunk? Me being out of the loop, only knowing the Drake beef, which I love because was it Draymond Green who did that too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
perfect. Trash.
I just saw that on the paper today. I was like, what happened here?
Already in his head, game 1. I love it.
Yeah, I think Toronto, if they could win Sunday, they'll be up 2-0. They'll go back to Golden State and probably lose both games. And then all they got to do is win at home, and they win the thing. So because they have the advantage. They have 4 games at home while Golden State only has 3. So they have a chance, man. It would be pretty stellar. If they win, it will crack Golden State. They will be a super team no more. Everyone will leave. I promise you. Because they're all up for contracts, and they can't pay them all max deals. They can only give out 1 or 2 max deals. So at the end of the day, they're gonna want their money. They've already won a couple rings. They might as well. They're probably just gonna be let's just hit it. So,
yeah. All right. So we got the sports out of the way. It was just something interesting, sort of entertainment topical outside of just sports entertainment. You have the Drake beef, kind of crossing the line. With a rapper dissing a basketball player and stuff in the series, heat of the moment. But I want to get in with Preston and his YouTube coverage, along with being a comics creator. And we can get the roundtable going with Drunk being new, and of course Damajan being new to this panel for the first time. Topic, what is it? Really quick. The censorship. Yeah, I was wanting to get y'all's take. So we'll start with Preston. You've been covering this. So, like, thoughts, assessment, what's going on with this YouTube
So we're
censorship?
specifically talking about the Disney censoring of the Captain Marvel deleted scene videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, as I posted all my thoughts on YouTube, which you can find at Pocket Jacks Comics, to me, I feel like, because those videos have been out for like, I want to say 3 weeks, roughly. I mean, what they had like 3 weeks ago or maybe a month ago when people started commenting on the deleted scene where Captain Marvel beats up a guy and takes his bike. Honestly,
I can't remember how long ago it's been we started.
It's been about a week and a half. It hasn't been about.
Really? Oh, maybe internet time is compressed. All right.
Yeah, it hasn't been out that long. This has been a really short amount of time. I think it came up because they just started promoting it. Because the Blu-ray actually went out the 28th. So they basically started promoting about a week before they dropped the actual the home buys.
Okay.
So it's about that.
So, I mean, legally, I feel like Disney does not have a claim to take down those videos from the channel creators because, I mean, this is fair use. This is commenting on a scene and saying, hey, here's the scene. I have to show it to you because it wasn't in the theatrical thing. I have to show it to you to at least comment on it so you and I understand what it is we're talking about.
Just to ask really quick, I understood that some of these videos being taken down or critical were only having some of them at least were having just a picture from the scene or just people commenting on it. And I heard one person was a defender of this sequence and this character and got his shit taken down. So that's just to add more to.
I must be low under the radar because I did comment on his that scene. I altered the picture for my thumbnail, but I didn't show it. I guess that might have helped. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But like I try whenever I do any kind of commentary on any of the pop culture guy, I keep my ear close to the ground as far as what's going to be getting, what's on target for these big corporations. And I try to keep my nose clean from them. But then again, I am a smaller channel, but even I heard smaller channels were getting hit too anyway. So it really doesn't matter. But I will say this though. One thing I did notice that was funny is that when I put up 2 videos, the video that I put out before this one was an Alita video. When I go on my my beta channel, it actually shows the stat for the Alita first. Now, normally, it gives you the stat for the latest video that you put out. It doesn't even show that, which I thought was kind of strange. I'm like, okay, well, are they kind of suppressing that or whatever? I'm not sure, but it's possible.
But I watch, Timcast, Tim Pool, yeah, and he said, and it's the internet. People say things, but I feel it's at least relevant. Because he does, he's a big YouTuber. He has a fair amount of influence. He said that he kind of had this scheme of let me see if I can get the left to defend fascism. So he posted the video of the deleted scene from Captain Marvel on his Twitter, and he's like, look at how here's your feminist hero beating up a guy and taking his bike, and sure enough here comes all these lefties SJW Spider-Man type people going no, she was being assaulted, she defended herself and whatever, and then in Tim Pool's mind, he drops the bomb of the reason that was okay in the context of the movie, despite the fact it was a deleted scene, was that at the time she's taking these actions, she was a soldier of the Kree Empire, which is itself kind of an evil fascist group. So she was there under orders to do things, and I haven't seen the movie, but I understand at that time she didn't even know she was human. She thought she was Kree, and so she's just kind of following out her orders, right?
I never saw the movie.
Okay.
No, I saw it, and I get what you're saying. I get that point of view.
Right.
I still think it sucks because it's more of a villainous maneuver than anything else.
Well, all right, but if we compare it to Terminator 2, which it's ripping off, all right, in Terminator 2, one, at that point in the Terminator 2 movie, we think he's a villain because Arnold Schwarzenegger was playing the villain in the original Terminator movie, and now he's back. And so this is kind of a villainous action. But later on in the Terminator 2 movie, we learn, well, he actually has been programmed to be a good guy, but he's a Terminator. He doesn't understand right or wrong or the value of human life or any of that stuff. So if for his mission he needs your bicycle, he will kill you and take your bicycle, kind of thing. That's what the Terminator does. But now we're looking at Captain Marvel. And so Captain Marvel is kind of ripping off this Terminator scene. And the writers left an out because they could go, well, she was being employed by the Kree Empire. But as Tim Pool points out, the people who are Captain Marvel fans weren't defending her, or defending the movie rather, based on, well, at that point it was okay that she was taking villainous actions because she was working for villainous people. They were defending her actions as being completely fine, as saying, well, that guy was just a big jerk, and the fans were saying he deserved what he got. He deserved to be punched. He deserved to have his bike stolen. Essentially, it's, feminists like men just being brutalized was kind of the way it seemed to be shaping up, and why I think Disney might have wanted to silence that discussion. Because if you go back to Terminator 2, no one is looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger's actions, or the Terminator robot's actions in that context and saying that was completely fine. It's absolutely fine to walk into a bike, and into a biker bar and just brutalize people and take their stuff. But that's what the SJWs were defending in the Captain Marvel clip.
Well, no, that's just what a Terminator does.
Right.
And to counter that argument, Captain Marvel didn't really believe she was working for a villainous empire. She thought she was on the just side of things.
But was she, again, I haven't seen the movie. Was she, in fact, working for bad people at that point?
Well, in her eyes, she thought she would, like he said, she did believe she was. Remember, one of the things was that she's with noble warrior heroes. That was one of the things. That was an actual line that was not cut from the movie. She thinks that she's a noble warrior hero. So, in that essence, that doesn't really fly, really. And in regards with the Terminator was the machine. So it's a program. This is supposed to be a sentient being that should know better, basically, especially if she was supposed to be a noble warrior hero.
Okay. So well, the two scenes are a little different. Is Arnold walks in butt naked and he's like, "I need your jacket."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No."
Yeah.
And then they just start to beat him up. Well, try to. So then he defends himself. He never hits anyone in that scene that didn't hit him first.
Yeah, he's kind of like Thanos, where he's not a provocateur.
Yeah, so he really doesn't hurt anyone until they hurt him. And then but she just kind of, he smiled at her, right?
She all right, so in the deleted scene, which I have seen, she's got a map open, and the guy walks up and kind of takes his hand and kind of moves the map down and looks at her and says, "You need to smile for me." And it is kind of being obnoxious. So he's presenting the obnoxious male antagonist.
Which by the way, I like to speak for all bikers out there, because I'm a biker. We're not like that.
I'm a biker.
And that annoys the hell out of me. They got to use that freaking trope that bikers are douchebags.
Sure.
But the thing with it is that it wasn't even that he just said he could smile for me. In the theatrical version, it was like, "Oh, smile for me." In this version, he says, "Do you need some help?" He said, "Well, if I'm going to help you, could you at least give me a smile?" That's what he said to her.
Oh,
and so
that warrants assault.
Yeah, and that being a douchebag doesn't mean you get to hurt somebody.
Right, exactly.
She easy to say.
Yeah, it's so excessive. It's like this is like.
But the thing is, and this is why Tim Pool did this, is that is the argument that is so sympathetic to the left, is because this person said bad things on the internet, I get to throw a milkshake at them or punch them in the face or vandalize and take their shit. And so this movie scene is kind of a microcosm of kind of this larger cultural moment. Whereas in Terminator 2, it was just a scene.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is Terminator's already set up as kind of a villainous person or creature, entity, and then that's kind of the twist of the movie is oh shit, he's kind of the hero of this movie unexpectedly. With this one, it's a Marvel origin film. We expect this bitch to be the hero from the start, and anything that she does is like to learn, where it's like, oh, I really fucked up back there, or oh, this guy ends up being someone that could help me, and he's like, oh, I remember you broke my hand, so fuck you, lady, and it's kind of karmic. Because you see, people compare it, of course, to Terminator, because it definitely associates very easily. But it made me think of Spider-Man 3, where he's like, it's very minimal, but he reacts where it's like, you'll get your rent when you fix this goddamn door, and just there's this tonal thing with Peter when he has the black suit, where he just gets more violent and aggressive, and
Right.
he kind of reverts back to like his pre-Spider-Man self, where it's like, let's get even, or get one up on you.
Well,
And
and again,
he learns from it with Uncle Ben,
And again, there's build up to that. This guy's harassing him about the rent the entire movie. So yeah, he's got a darker side coming on. So yeah, he flips out.
Right.
But again, that's behavior you would expect from a Terminator, not from a hero. Just because your acting is robotic doesn't mean you need to push that into the role.
Yeah. Really quick, people, I'll address it towards the end of the stream, but I'm throwing in this link for the GoFundMe. You can check it out while you're listening if you want. It's for essentially, I call it, for lack of a name right now, MovieGate. I'm pushing.
We're starting a new gate.
Yep, starting a new gate.
Hey, are you gatekeeping, sir?
But in the meantime, while I'm still updating the panelist info for the description, we got Crystal McGee in here.
Hey guys, you dropping a link for all right, Crystal McGee, but I want to come back and find out what this MovieGate thing is about.
Oh yeah, I'll address it toward the end for sure. I have a quick 2-minute video that's essentially just the same as the writing in the GoFundMe, but it's like my voice, my spin, and visuals. But yeah, what is up, Crystal? It's been a while. Try to get you on for like a week or two.
Yeah.
You had weather and fucking weddings. What is going on?
Busy, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. I really enjoyed that stream like a couple weeks ago for episode 6 pre-game before Game of Thrones. And of course, we're going to get to you and Jack's campaigns, one Indiegogo, one Kickstarter. So we got interesting little beef going on here already, just intrinsically.
Sure, but, sounds like it.
Yeah, no, this is fun stuff. Independent comics is where it's at. Since we got you in here now, and I want to get kind of the roundtable going. How are people feeling a week or two removed from episode 6, series finale for Game of Thrones? All those who've been watching.
I watched that one. It's one of like 3 episodes I watched. So.
Well, to put it like this here, as soon as it was over, I deleted my account. So there was that.
Wow.
I wasn't playing it. I wasn't even out. No, I saw Game of Thrones how I saw Game of Thrones. That's how I put it like this. Now with this Game of Thrones, I went out and I bought the subscription, right? So I'm like, okay, I want to do everybody a solid, do the right thing, right? So I do that. Once I start paying for it, I get crap. I'm like, really? Is that's what's gonna be like? So
immediate regret.
I'm going back to Netflix. And Netflix isn't even all that for me, but at least with Netflix, I can just get on there and just find something I like. But
dude, I'm gonna laugh if like season 3 of Stranger Things falls apart like this.
Oh no, don't say that.
I've actually never saw Stranger Things, thank you. So.
Oh, dude, season 1 and 2 are pretty awesome, and I'm not like a nostalgia guy.
I haven't finished 2 yet.
Okay, well, I mean the whole parallel to 11. What was that? 12 or 13 or whoever that was. Oh,
you're talking about like the Chicago club?
Yeah, the Chicago thing. I feel like that really didn't go anywhere exciting. I felt like it was a waste of time. Like that whole little side trek where 11 is with the Chicago group for that like 1 or 2 episodes.
It was kind of like a filler, man.
Yeah.
Like an anime.
Yeah. And I mean, like, look, if you're introducing someone who has gone through the same stuff and basically has very similar powers to 11, I think like that needs to be a bigger character rather than a side character. That you just do this filler episode then and come back to, whatever. Anyway, but I liked the Game of Thrones finale. I'll just say that. If anybody
did like it?
I'm ready. I liked it. Yeah.
Oh.
Now, I keep in mind, I've seen 3 episodes, so I just watched that episode. I'm like, that was pretty cool, guys. I don't understand.
Oh, so you only seen 3 episodes, and then you saw this ending?
More or less, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, that explains
it's understandable. You know, I was part of 1% who never watched Game of Thrones about 3 years ago, and I was on vacation. It was one of those things. I was staying home. It was a staycation, and it was a rainy week. So I was like, you know what, the hell with it. Let me just check it out. And I watched the episode. Oh, this is not bad. And then the next thing I knew, I spent basically my whole vacation burning through seasons 1 through 5. Wow. And then season 6 came out. So that's I actually started up to date with season 6, and I was on board. I mean, it doesn't have the same feeling as like Star Wars with me, because like Star Wars I grew up with. So I see how people are pissed off about it, but at the same time, it's like I'm not that pissed about it. I'm not happy, but I'm not like pissed. But I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna cancel my subscription and I'm done with it. But Star Wars, I won't fight tooth and nail for that.
Sure. I mean, look, Star Wars, I feel like that one was just, I mean, that was beyond the pale, if we can you use the term there, which I actually know what that term means. Probably nobody else does.
And I mean, there's a lot of lore behind Star Wars as well, so I think that kind of keeps that going. Right. You know, Game of Thrones kind of started that, but they kind of fell flat with this last season, I feel like. So I don't think that's really a possibility for them. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, and I'll just go ahead and put out there, and then you guys who are far more astute and lady can tell me where I'm wrong. But all right, so we've got Daenerys. We've resolved the wheel. You know, the throne has been melted, and so the Game of Thrones has ended. We've resolved that kind of arc. Daenerys has been shown to be a power mad individual, and there's kind of that greater story of the people you ally with in times of crisis and ignore their flaws, you end up kind of being bound to when the crisis is over and they're now in power and their flaws are becoming problematic. I thought, that was a cool message that our society needs to probably heed. So I thought that was neat, and I liked the shot where the dragon flew when Daenerys was walking forward. I thought that was cool. So I'm not sure
what the wings behind her. Yeah, that was a cool shot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I fell out.
Yeah, I saw you left. I was like, "What happened?" I'm surprised the thing didn't die.
No, that was just out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't even. I went to my Hangouts and it just internet's gone. I'm like, it says internet's connected. What the hell? It's 7:04, so I know I got 5 minutes to try to stay calm and get back in.
Okay.
Yeah. Stephen Walton's in the chat. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, author Stephen Walton? We had a good stream last night. We did a spoiler stream about Godzilla, and the back half had Ricky and him come on, and we just we're talking red pill shit and funny crap, and it's a good time. Go check it out. But yeah, he's got some great stuff going on.
Real quick, Miss McGee, Ethan Van Skyver put me on to you. Glad to meet you finally.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah, we definitely will get both of y'all to shill y'all's products, Goodnight and White Lily. Do not think I forgot that. Let's see. Did everyone have a chance to talk about Game of Thrones? Because I know I came back in when Pocket Jacks was talking about it.
I mean, I gave kind of my novice version of the finale and why I thought it was okay. I haven't heard the responses as to where.
Okay. Well, real quick before we hop onto that, did anybody hear Doomcock's version of the ending?
I haven't.
Like how he would do it.
How he would have ended it. I actually liked
it.
I actually liked the way he did it.
I actually watched before. I think it was episode 5. I think this is in kind of response to the long night. Bandit Incorporated, a channel that Ricky turned me on to, he did one how he would end it. And this is before the show's over. And it's pretty cool. His idea was that Bran and the Godswood was warging or whatever into the past or the future or whatever. And so he makes a deal with the Night King, and the Night King just leaves with his posse and the war stops. And then you fast forward after they take King's Landing, Daenerys and Jon have a baby. And while this is all going on, he knows what he has to do, and so he's been trying to have like a new sword forged, and it keeps breaking, and so like the third time around, it ends up like what happens? I think he like ignites it or something, like Dondarrion, whatever, kills Daenerys, plunges the blade through her heart to fit with the Azor Ahai prophecy. Sword breaks, but he has like a shard remaining on the handle. So he takes his kid in this deal to the Night King as a trade-off, because essentially like they don't reproduce, so they have to get fresh spawn to keep their ranks going. And he's going to give up his kid, but he put the blade in like the wrapping, whatever. So he kills the Night King that way in the end. And it was like, that was cool because he had a cost to it where he killed the one he loved.
Which one's the Night King? Again, I'm not that big a fan.
He's the blue guy that they were like all afraid of.
Oh yeah, the White Walker dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. All right.
Worse than Snoke as far as build up.
Yeah, they snoked him. They definitely snoked him.
I got to take offense there.
He got smoked up.
I don't think it's worse than Snoke, mainly because there was at least a little bit of backstory on that character in an earlier season. Just a little bit. Just a little bit, but there was some. Damn it, there was some.
I'll give you that, but it's still, as far as like you're building up this big bad, and that's what I mean by how they snoked him. He's built up as the big bad, and then he's got basically 66 in an instant. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I say he got snoked. While they did give him some backstory, but I'm like, that backstory didn't help much when it really doesn't. The backstory doesn't really tell you his ambition. What I mean? So like,
I'm not saying he didn't get a raw deal. I mean, he got it in the front, but he got it in the back also. But I still think Snoke is worse. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like if you're a devout Star Wars fan, like nothing will ever rival or supersede that fandom, then it's going to hurt worse Snoke. So that's going to take precedent.
Well, also, I mean, Star Wars is kind of a 40-year wound. You know what I mean? Like we had 40 years of build up and then got that. Game of Thrones is a little bit fresher, so it's not, I don't know, for people like me at least, it's not quite as bad. But yeah, Star Wars really hurts.
Yeah,
and on the cool shots things, like I like seeing cool shots too. But let me just say there were a lot of cool shots in The Last Jedi, but that sucked ass. I mean, a lot of us grew up with the CGI and all that stuff wasn't that great with the stuff that a lot of us grew up with. But the stories were still there. The movies were still cool. Mm-hmm. It was still a good time. But you can't make up for that with a bunch of cool scenes. It just doesn't work. You need story.
Every time I think about Luke pushing the freaking sea cow like it's a pus bubble and he's squeezing the shit out, I get so effing pissed. I'm like, who thought that was a good idea? Like, when you sit there and say, oh, well, why Disney would take out the Captain Marvel playing Mercy with a guy's hand, and they took that out. Somebody thought that was a good idea not to put that in the movie. So my thing is, somebody in Disney somewhere thought it was a good idea. It was a great idea to have Luke Skywalker push.
Not a good idea. Yeah, great idea.
Great idea.
I'm like, what the F, man?
Again, and maybe this is why like I'm not a comics creator and everybody else in this thing is, what was wrong with Luke drinking the animal milk? Like he's
okay. I'll explain this.
You want to feel that, Angus?
Yeah. Because I had to watch this clip a lot when I edited my Ride the Lightning parody for Galaxy's Edge. I need to re-upload that because it's topical right now with the Galaxy's Edge being open now and Captain Marvel going there too. But anyway, all right. So if you watch this scene, have you watched Last Jedi or?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, I've seen all these Star Wars movies.
All right, so if you watch this scene, not only are you seeing Luke, who has tapped himself out of the Force, he's essentially abandoned the galaxy, including his sister, his brother-in-law, his nephew, who he failed or whatever. He's totally forsaken everything that like made people like him for 30 plus years, 40 years.
Right.
And he's just like, I'm just trying to die, or whatever.
Yeah.
And he ends up one moment. Drunk, you want to fill this really quick before I come back?
You were right. Where he drinks the booby moo juice.
Yes,
is that where we're at?
the booby moo juice. Why is that such an objectionable scene?
Because Luke would never do that.
That's right.
Wait,
and the worst part of that, the worst
slice open a
all
bantha
right,
belly and stuff Han inside it.
No. The worst part of that scene was when he was finished.
Yeah.
The sea cow looks over at Rey in like a sexual.
Oh God!
And Rey was like, Rey felt the sexual tension and was like, "Ew."
No,
and
because
she looked
it wasn't
away.
even like it was in the boob area. That was in the crotch area. So it's like it's more or less like, and I don't want to be disgusting for the lady in the room. More or less like man juice coming out of that thing.
Okay.
That's what made it even worse. And he's like putting it all over his face. I'm like, what? What was that? Come on!
But I mean,
Come on!
eggs. But I mean, chicken eggs are like lady juice.
No, I get that. I think when the sea cow turned and looked at Rey and kind of was like, "Ooh,
there you go."
Like,
that's what I was
give me a."
So I actually missed the sexual turn on from the sea cow on the Rey kind of part. I guess.
Yeah, because not only does the sea cow
just made it worse.
Okay,
it's getting squeezed by Luke, and he's drinking out of the bottle, and it's very awkward. But also, the thing looks at Rey, and then Rey has like an embarrassment moment that is the same reaction as when she sees Ben Solo without a shirt on. She's like, "Can you please put on a shirt?" So there's like sexual tension, and it's like, what? And then you learn they spent like $2 million on this, just the creature alone. It's like,
really?
And they wasted like I think like $20 million on extra stuff with
That's
Crate
sad.
that never made the film. So it's just like,
Guys,
there's a lot of what the fuck.
I gotta jump in on this for a second. It's not just that scene alone. That scene is the culmination of the castration of Luke Skywalker. You start off with him tossing his phallic symbol right over his shoulder.
Right.
And like every scene leading up to that is just, oh, look how much of a bitch Luke is. We took Luke's balls. Oh, look, let's shove this green titty milk into Luke's mouth. He loves it. Look at him. He loves it. And that's my problem with that scene. It was just kind of like, the last bit of Luke losing his nuts.
Larger Luke context that you dislike.
Yes, yes.
I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I don't think there's nothing, and I repeat, nothing Disney can do to make me forgive them for that. There's absolutely nothing. They can't, because first off, between what they did to Luke and the fact that they had the opportunity to have all of the OG cast together and didn't do it, was disrespectful to the legacy of Star Wars, period, and they will never get my forgiveness for that, ever. And I don't even like Disney like that, so there's nothing they can even do to, to even entertain their thought for me. Nothing.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
I hear you, man.
Hey.
I hear you.
So, you mind if I chime in on that?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
The Luke drinking the milk. My question is why? like it was so unnecessary, and like it was intentionally made to make Luke look bad. He's not look like a badass in that scene. You know that. It's meant to degrade him.
But
if they could have left it out, it would have been a better movie.
That's what I'm saying about the degrading part. Is it makes it worse when the sea cow looks at Rey and is like, "Hey, you want to come and like please me too?" And she just, she like, oh my God, she gets disgusted and turns away. Like that just made the scene worse.
Okay.
Like now you take the most powerful Jedi, the most lovable Star Wars, Mr. Star Wars himself, and you basically made him look like he was giving oral sex or whatever it was to a sea cow, and the sea cow looks over at Rey like, "Hey, you want some of this action?" And you're just like, "What?"
There's 3 more teats if you want in, sweetie.
It's like it's awful.
If we look at the actual act of milking a cow,
but I'm with the Majin. I think that was the scene that I think just crushed it for me. I was just like, "You did this to Luke, freaking." You didn't even have to add that in the movie. Like there was no reason. We get it. He was a hermit. You don't have to add that in the movie. Exactly. There was no reason for it. That was humiliate him. There was no reason but to humiliate him. That was it.
I didn't realize we were going to get into this Last Jedi wormhole.
Sorry.
No.
You started it.
I was just asking a question.
Yes.
No. It's totally fine. Hoff, I want you to continue.
Touch the nerve on us here because we hate
you. No, it's great. I like this, but I want to give everyone the chance. Crystal and Hoff especially.
I hate Brian Young too. All right, I'm done.
I don't really have much else to say that anyone else hasn't already said, but yeah, it just would have been a better movie if, like, you know, you hadn't shown that, especially like during, I don't remember if it was before or after, but there was that scene where they're supposed to make him out to like be synonymous, like at the same time. I'm sorry, that's not the right word. You know what I'm trying to say. At the same time, a badass where he uses that long stick to like, you know, jump across the rocks and stab a fish. Like, it just seemed so off, the whole thing. I just didn't know who this character was anymore. It's like this, I don't recognize him. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. And they could have made the same point of him being like a hermit by doing, you know, other stuff, or making it less humiliating without like dripping down his beard and stuff. I mean, gross, dude.
And he loved it.
All right, so to add, since you came in, Hoff, sorry for my fucking kids, won't shut the fuck up.
Cool, man.
No, just really
like a wonderful, loving father.
It's on my fucking nerves because they'll be good all day, and then I get on a goddamn live stream, and they won't shut the fuck up.
Hey, why these fucking kids just shut the fuck up?
Normally, I'm like, yeah, I love my kids, and you know, my son's named Lucas because of George Lucas, and blah blah blah. And then it's just like, oh my god, enough today. You know, it's like daddy's had it.
Sedatives, man. You gotta give them sedatives.
Yeah, Hoff.
Kidding.
Give us your coverage of Wednesday.
The concert.
Yeah.
I assume that. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, it's been a long week. It was amazing. If you guys don't know who Coheed and Cambria are, and you're into like comics and nerdy stuff, like you'll probably like them. They've been around for almost 20 years now. They've been playing forever. They're always working hard, always putting out new stuff. Just always doing, like, they've never disappointed me. Never once disappointed me. So check them out, because they actually have like a full comic line and series. It's like really deep stuff. It's actually like more convoluted and in depth than a lot of things that you'll just find, you know, through Marvel or DC. So
what's it called?
Definitely check that out. Coheed and Cambria.
Okay.
The author and singer is Claudio Sanchez. And yeah, they have a ton of comics out. They're all really good too. But the concert itself, Mastodon, was sick. You guys have maybe heard of Mastodon. I think they're a little bigger, or a little well more known than Coheed and Cambria. What's their name?
Sorry, no, I'm just catching up on the chat finally, because I'm trying to. My computer's slow as fuck, and I'm trying to update people that aren't in like my normal list of channels for the panelists, so people can sub y'all. And author Stephen Walton said, "God damn it, Angus, beat your children." Oh, that was great. Sorry. Sorry, Huff, continue.
Oh, you're good, man. I just think, yeah, most people probably know Mastodon better because of their name. I mean, Coheed and Cambria, like, that's just not, they're not two regular words you use. So it's like, you hear about them, probably forget about them, but they're amazing. So Mastodon killed it. They played the full Crack the Sky album. They killed it as usual. And then Coheed came on with the best production I've ever seen. And I've seen them over 10 times since 2006. So they just keep getting bigger and better. Yeah, musicians started. Yeah,
so I thought they were comic book
concert, and it's like what they do. I'm sorry, I didn't explain this well enough. What their albums are a story. It's a full story based, and they wrote the comics based on it. Because like the singer Claudio, he's always been a big like comic nerd himself and loves all the, you know, Star Wars and all that stuff. So like if you're into this kind of stuff, you'd probably like them because it's all kind of relative, you know. So yeah, definitely check them out. They're tour just started. We saw them because I was there with Black Angus. We saw them on their second show of the tour, and they still have a lot of dates coming up. So if you do get into them, check their dates because they might be coming around you, and they're definitely worth it. And yeah, I got to meet Black Angus, which was absolutely awesome. He's a great guy. So much fun.
Everything you ever dreamed.
Oh, and more. And more. He's the real charmer, that guy, I tell you.
Was there milk involved?
No, I was going to ask that.
No, lots of beer, but no milk. I probably look like Luke Skywalker while drinking the beer too, just all over my face and just running down my shirt. But yeah, I had a great time. And if you haven't heard those bands or ever listened to them, definitely check them out. Give them a try. If you don't like them, I totally understand. If someone doesn't like Coheed and Cambria, kind of an acquired taste. But if you give them a chance and kind of get into what they're doing, they're really interesting. They're rock. They're kind of like, a little bit of their own sound, like progressive. like if you're into maybe, I hate to say this because it might turn some people off, but like Rush, they're kind of like in the realm of Rush a little bit. So, and Rush is my favorite band of all time. So, but they have so much material. Like I said, so many comics and different offshoots of things. They're hopefully one day in dreams they will get like a show made about all of that stuff or a movie, and that would be amazing. But yeah, like I said, tour just started, so check him out, and if you like him, definitely go see him. It's completely worth it, and they should pay me for saying this.
Did they have anything up on YouTube or anything that I could check out?
Yeah, man. They got both bands have a ton of stuff on YouTube. And actually, if you go to my channel, I'm not trying to do a plug here, really, but since you asked,
plug away.
Back in February, I did like a 30-minute video where I had VIP for their show, and I got a lot of footage from it, and I was front row, so that was pretty good. It's got a lot of views, probably from Coheed and Cambria fans, more likely than like anyone in the community. But yeah, check that out and check out some of their videos because they're really cool.
All right, cool.
Did you have a good time, Angus?
Oh yeah, one of the points I was telling about you. Sorry, I was eating some beef.
Eating beef?
He's like, damn it, I was trying to eat. Keep talking.
Yeah, no, I
isn't that cannibalistic?
I am a cannibal.
Sorry.
I utilize the flesh of my fallen brethren to further my cause against the SJW hordes.
I thought you were a herbivore.
It's an intimidation tactic.
But no, sorry, it was a chewy piece, so I had to wash it down with some Stella Artois, not a sponsor as of yet of Black Angus. Anyway, I had a great time. I was telling Stephen Walton about how not only this guy let me bum cigarettes, but he let me bum fucking Native American Spirit cigarettes. Those are like $8 a pack.
Oh yeah, high class, man, but they last longer.
And Angus is having a heart attack as we speak, choking on beef.
No,
Angus,
hold on, buddy. Hold on, buddy. Don't leave us yet.
Elizabeth is the big one.
And of course, my fucking kid won't shut the fuck up again. Oh god, no, yeah, it's like every goddamn Friday stream this happens. So it's like it's just running thin on me. I mean,
are you taking a dump at the same time? Like, what's going on over there?
No. I'm in my office.
Sorry. I mean, some people call it the office. I'm just saying.
It's where I do business.
Anyway,
I'm just messing with you, buddy.
No, it was a great time meeting Hoff. I was like, wait, is this guy gonna come? It was funny because I keyed him in. I was going because my wife couldn't go on short notice, even though I had the tickets for like 2 months. But at short notice because she forgets everything, and so I was like trying to scramble with anyone I know here in Columbus area to go with. So I knew Hoff was here. I'm like, this would be a great way to meet each other. I'm like, hey Hoff, what are you doing Wednesday? He's like, seeing these bands. I'm like, oh, damn it.
He sent me back. Actually, he sent me back. Damn, me too. And I was like, "Oh, do you not want to see me? Like, are you trying to avoid me there?" Like,
yeah, but no, I got a friend come with me and hung out with Hoffman, a couple of his friends in passing, and it was just a great time. I actually got a sub from a Eagles fan. I saw my Eagles hat, and we ended up talking for like 10 minutes during the intermission of the first and second man to talk about Philly and my video, and I got a sub, and it was just great time. And yeah, I definitely want to go back. Last time I went there, last concert I went to was Diantward, the Zeph rappers from South Africa. Yeah. Diantward's amazing.
Nice.
I was pissed because one of the few songs I knew all the lyrics to was Pitbull Terrier, and they played one verse and then they just like ended the song, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
What? That's so random.
Don't you?
Yeah,
hate
and they didn't.
Your favorite bands do that. They try to do like a sample of a song and do something different. I hate when they do that.
And also, the other song I really know, Zeph Boner, they also did not play at all. So it's like, man, they didn't play Zeph Boner or the full song of Pitbull. It's like, fuck you.
Aww.
You know, it's a good show.
Actually, hey Angus. I read that Coheed started a little bit late on Wednesday night because they were having like some technical issues, so they actually had to cut one of their songs.
So we missed some. What? Why are they being pussies like that? They should have just played longer.
It's like a curfew for the city. I think they have to be quiet by a certain time. But it was the song that they actually just put out a video of that day too. But luckily, it's like one of their softer songs, so I didn't really miss it too much. I still like the song, but you know, if they're gonna cut one, I guess that'd be the one to do.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Have you gotten a sub boost as of late, or I don't know how consistently you've been posting, Hoff?
Oh no, I've just been kind of idling here for a while. I've just been doing podcast stuff and haven't like done a whole lot of like interviews or creative stuff too much lately. But I do plan to get back into that. I got a little something in the works right now, so hopefully that'll be coming up in the next week. I'll let you guys know more about it.
Awesome. All right, cool. Crystal, we'll start with you. Comic skate topic. It's been hot. You follow? I assume you follow Caesar quite heavily.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Hell Caesar. What are your thoughts? And anyone who doesn't know, we'll kind of clarify. Let Crystal give her take. What are your thoughts on this whole Christopher Knight thing going on with Vampirella?
Isn't it a Christopher Priest?
Priest. Fuck. I mixed up because you're the good knight.
All right, everybody on sub. I mean,
one of those
even
people
get the
I
names
talked to in
right.
person 4 days ago. One of those people I've never heard of, so you got to narrow it down. Christopher Priest, talk to him. Christopher Knight, Spidey.
Oh no, yeah, it's literally, yeah, because I have it written down on my list of like these are the topics for today. Got Christopher Knight, and it's like right across is the Good Knight and White Lily.
Yeah,
So both y'all
project.
projects. So it blended in my head.
Oh no.
But
yeah,
give
the
it
Christopher Priest stuff. I mean, it's interesting. He just kind of came back. It seems like from sort of like a hiatus of sorts.
I have some thoughts on this one when it gets to be my turn.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did like Deathstroke, but I don't know like how far back that was. But you know, I like his writing, and I love Vampirella, so it should be a fun pairing for sure. You know.
Nice. Wait, who's the artist? I'll look him up. Or did you say? Sorry.
I mean, Vampirella is a character, but yeah, I don't know who the artist
No, I know
is.
Vampirella. I didn't know if you said an artist or not.
Oh,
but no, yeah, I'm looking for it. Anyone doesn't know, because I'm just now catching up with the chat since my computer's slow. Essentially, Chris Priest had this interview with Newsarama, I think mainly through email, and he got cornered because he said something about like male and female or two genders or something. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, especially from what he says, he's Christian. I don't know how liberal he is with that, but clearly it means something to him more than just people that use it for a label. And he's talking about, you know, women and being worried about how like, you come across women today when you're like making advances, just saying hello or something. And they try to like corner him, saying like, "Oh, you said two genders. You want to like clarify that, my guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, no." And now he's become a comic skate darling. And of course, everyone's like, "I'm scared for my life at Dynamite because they're catering to the alt-right." And I was getting such a kick out because Caesar's making a comic for cover, possibly a whole series for Vampirella with Cyberfrog crossover. So, you know, helping legitimize his brand post Comic Skate as far as like leaving DC and going to Comic Skate as a publisher. But also, I think this sets the stage for other artists to get deals like this. Therefore, further legitimizing indie creators crossing over, and so that's what I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to like the next 2 and 3 artists getting this deal.
Point out, Christopher Priest is not a comic skater.
No. I know he is not, but yeah, there's this perception where he's like, "Oh, he's becoming a darling for them, these alt-righters and blah blah blah." And it's like, shut the fuck up. We just value people having you know, their free speech and stuff, whether you agree with it or not. So it's a good time. It's a good time.
He did Deathstroke during Rebirth, right? Because
I think so.
I think I bought the first couple issues of that, and like nothing against the guy, but his writing is different than a lot of creators or a lot of, you know, authors, and it's, I don't know. I felt like he was kind of working backwards throughout the whole issue, so it was really confusing to me, especially because I wasn't like super familiar with the character, so I didn't really catch on to it. But I'd be willing to give him another chance if he's, you know, if he's going this direction.
I mean, the Newsarama and it did degenerate down to why are we talking about Joe Biden? What do you mean there were only two genders? But at the start of it, the whole way that they were framing it was, why is Christopher Priest, who's, you know, kind of, he's been around, he's kind of got somewhat of a rep as a decent writer. why are you taking on what is a TNA character, right? I mean, rightly or wrongly, that is Vampirella's perception. So that kind of the gist of the Newsarama interview is why is a serious writer taking on such a trivial,
Sounds like they had it out for him, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I would agree.
I don't know the details, but from what I've heard, yeah, I mean, it sounds like they were going to try to push it that way. So.
Well, but I mean, I think that is, if we take out the hatchet job Newsarama was going for, I mean, that's a legitimate question. I mean, of course, from a capitalistic creator point of view, I'm sure the ultimate reason is because they paid him to do that. But in the world of art, where we all like to think that everything was a purely artistic project taken on to increase the quality of beauty in the world, why does a serious writer take on a TNA character? Was I think like the overall question, and look, I look forward to seeing what it does with it. Because I gotta say, I've never really had an interest in Vampirella, quite frankly.
I haven't either, but I'm gonna say it's a shame that like certain characters are kind of held to that taboo now, where like if you write it, you're like something that can be criticized for who knows what.
Sorry.
Like certain characters shouldn't be taboo. I mean, I understand why. I mean, if you look at it and you don't know what the content is behind it, but like, who knows what he's going to do with it?
Sure. Right, and if she is just a TNA character, if that's the perception, maybe he's thinking, well, let's take this character and make her something, else, something, go her own way. Show people that she's not just TNA. There's an actual story here, and there's stories to be told. Why wouldn't a serious writer want to do that?
And therein, I think, was maybe that was the answer that I think if Christopher Priest would have been more honest, he would have been like, yeah, she's a TNA character. I'm going to take her and make something interesting. I think you're going to like it. I think that would have just collapsed the whole interview, because I think instead he went this route of, like his response was, well, like, look, I don't really tend to comment on the characters' looks that I write for. I didn't talk about Deathstroke, and he's a serial killer. Why do you care that Vampirella is an alien that runs around in very little? So it's where if it would have just said, yeah, she's a TNA character, I'm going to take her and tell a cool story. That would have been way simpler to understand, more direct to the point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but let's be honest. Deathstroke has a pretty nice ass. No one can deny that.
There you go. Yeah.
So not Captain America, but
it's not America's ass. It's the Assassin Guild's ass.
But I mean, for that matter, at the last 2 comic shows, I have been securing other comic creators that I want to be selling for, because I do a lot of shows. I do like 2 a month. And, I'm just looking how to maximize my revenue. And I've already got my books, and I'm going to keep making my books. But I'm like, how do I maximize, revenue for being at this table? And I picked up, Penny for Your Souls, by Tom Hutchinson, as well as Scheherazade and Patriotica. I've reached deals with both of them to sell their comics at my table. And, there's a couple of things that those comics have in common. And there's a left one and a right one. And, that's what people want to buy. It's what they want to buy. I'm going to have it at my table, being like, yeah, massive boobs. It's just, I'm going to have a rack of racks. So there it is. You want to buy it. There it is. And it draws people over. I'm sure they're going to spend money on it. It may double my sales. So.
Yeah, it's nature, baby. We're visual creatures. See things, we're attracted to them. Some people don't want to admit that.
Yeah.
Well, for my comic book writers in here, even though I'm not like a comic person per se, I'm not like comic skate, but at what point did it become such a bad thing to show, voluptuous bodies? I don't understand when did that happen? Like why did that happen?
When they hired Landwells.
Like I think it's a control thing. Excuse me, like they just want to kind of control everyone, and by sort of censoring is a form of control. I don't know. Like it's
I'm a dad of a 17-year-old now, but there is this discussion, and this is not just a recent thing. This is not a social justice thing. This goes back centuries. You know, like women, essentially, you can dress provocatively and you will get attention and you will get noticed and you will get favoritism, but you will maybe have a hard time being taken seriously. You know, like if the king's courtesan is voluptuous, people understand why the king is with her. But if she's giving advice on the battle plans, people are like, why did you invite that bitch? So, you know, like there is this.
Like, I think it depends on the character, though. You know what I mean? And kind of like power set, stuff like that, and situation. You know, just depends.
I mean, if it has to do with like unrealistic views of human bodies, I mean, you can look at Cable, and I'm not going to get mad about it and be jealous of a cartoon character or something, you know? Same like if like girls like, or I mean, just for example, nothing against women, but like it seems to be more, you know, prominent there. Like when women get upset about like models or whatever, you know, and say whatever about them, and you know, that's fine. But like, I don't get mad because like I watch something with Brad Pitt in it, and I'm like, I can never live up to that, you know, like. Beautiful people are going to be in Hollywood, you know.
And one of the things, like I actually, I don't know if you know who DanFan29. I think that's DanFan. She put up a nice video talking about that too, as far as like sexuality and, you know, entertainment, and how it's kind of crazy how they try to make one look bad, and then at the same time, like they show like guys still, like they show guys, you know, with their shirt off and there's no problem. Then they show if a girl has anything, oh, it's a problem. And me personally, like if I see somebody like The Rock, and I'm like, okay, yeah, the guy's jacked, and I'm like, well, it's an aspiration, not like I want to force myself to be like that. Like they make it like, oh, if you see somebody like that, then it gives you what's the word?
Inferiority complex.
Yeah, like to me, I'm like, if I see somebody like The Rock or Jason Momoa, it's like, it's not that I feel inferior. Like, hey, that's something to aspire to get to. I'm pretty sure I would never get there because those guys have trainers and they have the right meals all day, every day. So, yeah, it's something to.
Speak for yourself, D. That's all I'm saying.
What are you talking about?
Well, I want to add to this. I remember talking to Rookie about this.
You were talking to Rookie about The Rock's body? Are you serious?
Day in, day out.
We are world-class bullshitters.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, good one, drunk. No,
I have every now and then.
We were talking about comics and stuff and inferiority complex and kind of like the binary nature of men and women. Sorry, didn't give a trigger warning for some people. But yeah, binary nature of people. And the thing about like kind of the mental pathology of men versus women. Men, when we see a potential, because it's all, if you think biologically, think of like mating and territory and stuff, a lot of our physical cues, you know, come into play. And so when a man sees like like me, some schlub sees Daniel Craig come into the room, it's like, oh, I straighten my back a little bit, I broaden my shoulders. I want to be respected even if I know my place in the hierarchy of nature. Women, on the other hand, even if they're the hottest babe who has landed the greatest catch in history, is always going to think of the competition because it's just kind of the nature with the sex. Men can spread their seed. Women are stuck with the choices they make potentially, and I think that plays a lot into our pathology, our mental pathology, how we view each other and view the opposite sex. And I think that comes down to a lot of dealings. If you strip it down to the bare bones, I think that's really how societies are built in a lot of ways. Is off of those kind of biological cues and motives and stuff. So I think that's kind of goes with the ideology of the left and stuff. They want to subvert everything about nature that entails a sort of competition and evolution of humanity. We're always potentially enemies, especially with women, because it's like no matter how hot they are, how secure they are, they're always worried about another girl stealing them. As opposed to men, with the patriarchy, quote unquote, we have it set up where it's like you have like the typical hunter-gatherer stereotype, whatever. But then you have guys that are weak Bruce Banner dweebs who are smart and therefore find utility in society without looks or without physical might. It just seems like, I don't know, like women could do it too, but it seems like men have had to figure out these things. It's like, if I can't be The Rock, I need to be Stephen Hawking or a genius or whatever. I need to find an angle to provide security, even if it's through abstract means. So I think all that kind of comes into play when you come talking about these SJWs in comics and body representation. They want to feel comfortable to the point where they want to just eschew nature and eschew norms.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it is, all right. So one, if you want to be a good-looking guy, I mean, granted, you could just be born a fairly good-looking guy, but most of the guys we're talking about put some work in the gym. Like they were there, they're working hard, and a lot of the guys that you are there and admire for a while, you're like, wow, that guy, he's staying in shape. He's putting work into it. Whereas there are many attractive women who were just born that way. Like I just came out this way. This is what I am. This is what I look like, and we like the way that they look, and they're kind of pleasing to us. But there also are kind of going back to the dual nature that we tend to break the world down into. There's kind of man areas, and societally they tend to be the more important ones. Like what are we going to do in war? What are we going to do in politics? And the areas that we tend to relegate to women tend to be the home. It tends to be like child rearing. It tends to be like, honey, what did you cook today? Kind of thing. And now social justice wants to completely wipe that out.
Woman in the kitchen?
Yeah. Social justice wants to completely wipe that out and say it's an arbitrary distinction. But if we say that there's something innate in us that kind of goes, well, I don't know, it just seems like women like being they like being moms and men like going out and fighting, but whatever. But nevertheless, I feel when we see an attractive woman, we feel like, man, wouldn't that be a great candidate to put in my home raising my kids, but not necessarily make a general? Whereas if we see someone who's an attractive guy, he may be dumb as a brick, but because he's attractive and he has a certain charisma to him, we want to go, oh, you know what? I should maybe get into business with this person. He seems smart to us. So I think there's that dichotomy. Whereas if you have a voluptuous, attractive woman, we think she would be particularly good at woman things, but not at the traditional man thing.
Sorry, just it makes me think like orcs, where he's like man flesh.
Man flesh. Yeah. Which by the way, if I could show you, because I do put some thought of this. If I could screen share and show you a little bit of
yeah. Let me present you.
Okay, let me see. Screen share.
There you go.
Application window. Boom. Share. So this is White Lily issue 3. And this was a real woman. She was the deadliest female fighter pilot who ever lived. And when I was back at issue 1, I had to really tell my comic book artist to stop overly sexualizing her because I wanted her to look like she historically looked. And I've read, there was another comic adaptation of her, and they just gave her just massive hooters. And I'm like, look, I don't think we necessarily need to overly sexualize a historical figure just because she's a woman in order to find her interesting. So that is kind of the way
Shut up, you male feminist freak.
Yeah.
Hashtag Hooters.
But but at the same time, like my comic book, this is issue 3, and I've got a week left. I've got 3,800 on Kickstarter. Patriotica 3, I think, currently broke 30,000. So there's a reason why people draw just massive boobs. And that's what people want to buy. Like, people don't give a damn about the history. They don't give a damn about the story. So this is just kind of my artistic presentation to the world of, this historical figure and what she looked like and the challenges she faced. But going forward, yeah, I'm probably going to take a step back from serious stories and serious artwork and just be like, okay, the character options for the day are boobs. Let's go.
You should get the rights to like barbed wire or something like that.
Yeah, some stuff like that
or something.
But I'm presenting Stalingrad, and she's going along this broken city that's just a ruin, and she's freezing to death, and she's looking. She finds this child, but the child is frozen solid, and I'm really going for kind of this deep, just showing of the destruction and the desolation, and trying to find human purpose and human interaction amidst death. And that's probably got a far lower appeal than, hey, look at the amazing hooters on the character.
I think what really hurts you is that you're a male. So what do you know about being a Jewish woman?
Well, I completely don't buy into that, and I don't think any serious artist should. I mean, the idea that Hillary Swank could not have played the character from Boys Don't Cry because she wasn't really transgender. I'm like, step off of it.
Oh man!
But one of the things I do like about this story is it does give me the opportunity to talk about social justice because she's in a society that is dedicated to that. She's in a society which is run by popular vote and towards a set agenda of making sure that everyone is equal, and yet it's horrible. It's a completely maladaptive, poorly running, brutal society. And when people talk about social justice, I get to go, well, it's funny you mention that. Let's talk about the fact that her father died during the purge. And of course, then we get into, well, that's not real communism. But I like to go, well, at what point did it stop? So,
yeah. But for everyone, before you continue, I did update finally with my Subcommittee. Did update the links for Demogeny, Hoff Solo, Crystal McGee with the Good Night, Indiegogo, still in demand currently, correct?
Yep, indeed.
And White Lily, like he's showing you right now. Good. So click those once we're done or whenever. Click them, save the tab, go look at it, and buy it if you're interested. We'll have Crystal picture stuff. But I made a joke, but no, this is really a very smooth way that you, in a natural way, that you shifted into plugging your product. Props, dude. It's really smooth, for real.
I mean, as an artist, I did have to, make these decisions of how sexual do I want to be, do I want this character to be, because prior examples of, I've got one in the bookshelf behind me. She is just like 39 double D kind of thing. I'm like, there's no way this woman was flying fighter planes in Stalingrad. There's just no freaking way.
I'm really interested in this series, and also to clarify for people, you can get the back issues, correct?
You can, yes. I'm using Backer Kit, so if you back this project, you can pick up issues 1 and 2. And I did another comic book where the character was more attractive, but I also based her on a very attractive woman, but the story was what the fan liked, because I completed a sale today where I sold some White Lily copies on eBay, and he sent me a tweet that my wife loves your writing so much that when she found out about this story, I had to buy all 3 issues. So I was like, well, thank you. So I sent that out today. So, I like to think that writing is what will keep people coming back to a story. But, I got to say that there's something about sex appeal that you ignore at your peril. And I was seeing that in my levels right now.
It reminds me of my English teacher freshman year I was in Oklahoma in college. He was a poet, and he's got really good poetry. He's got a really good angle, being Southeast Oklahoman from like raised in like the 50s or 60s and thinking of like this small town we're in. And I really appreciated that and the poetry he brought to the table, but he enlightened us that these epic poets, almost none of them made money.
Exactly.
They had other jobs. So it's like what you're doing is poetry compared to like the pop art or whatever, or the novelists, with normal booby comics and whatnot.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's one event here that I'll show you. Here's a nice 2-page spread we did. I did try to make the book cool, but according to legend, and this is legend, so like George Washington, the cherry tree. Did that really happen when he was growing up? Who knows? But according to legend, she shot down this Luftwaffe ace, who then when he was captured, asked to be brought before the pilot who shot him down, and so. We actually show that here, where he's brought in and he's shown that Lilia was the one who shot him down, and he doesn't believe he was shot down by a woman. And as she puts it, well, how do you feel about being shot down by a Jew in this panel here?
So was the guy that was shot down, this ace, was he? Because people, unfortunately, and this isn't like I'm trying to think of the word, sympathizing per se with like the overarching agenda behind Nazi Germany, but people do lose the fact that most guys in the army were not like diehard Nazis or anything. They weren't out to exterminate. They were just fighting for their country, following orders. They were probably already in the army or drafted. And so, a lot of dumb grunts stuff. They're not aware of like all the work. They're just wanting to pay and stuff, especially after the bad economy of Germany before Hitler came to power.
I really touch very lightly on the Germans, and in part it's because I'm doing air-to-air combat, so you never even see them. It's not like this is the only time where we really get to see issue 3 is one of the only times where we really get to see the Germans, and we see them here, where she's kind of, according to legend, she told him what maneuvers she did to beat him, which we show here in this comic, where we've kind of shown it behind him as she's kind of relaying the work. And then the other time is here earlier in the comic book, where she has to parachute into Stalingrad, and there's this German trooper who's who attempts to kill her. But these are like the only two times we really see the Germans, because for the most part in air-to-air combat, it's all about plane battles. So you don't really see the other people. There are just planes that you're trying to knock out of the sky. Yeah. And I don't really get into the politics or the agenda of the other side, in part because we already know it. We already know,
Oh, well, with that, I don't know if I asked that when I was kind of addressing the view of Germans. Or did the pilot, was he like a diehard like SS or like into like the Nazi agenda, or was he just a pilot?
We don't get into that, in part because they don't speak his language. As we show.
Well, no, I mean, like doing your research, did you ever find this out?
Oh no, I'm. Who knows? I mean, like, if you look at the German fighters, they had SS written on the tail, but who knows if they really believed or if they didn't believe. And I think when you go out and it's one thing to be political when you're in rallies and you're a bunch of people and you want to belong to that group of people, but when you're kind of removed from your political circle and you're thousands of miles away, and it's just another day of going up and trying to fight and kill other people, I think a lot of your political zeal kind of wears off after a while, and you just become like, I'm fighting for this side and they're fighting for that side, and both sides are probably totally arbitrary. And I would think that at this point in the war, that's what this guy was thinking.
Yeah, it reminds me, like, that viewpoint reminds me of like race relations and maybe negativity with blacks for a lot of soldiers, and they go to Vietnam and they don't give a fuck anymore because they're trying to survive the Viet Cong.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, dude, love this black guy. He had my back the whole time, and the perception changes. That's why I love military life. Even leaving, only doing like 4 years, it gives you that perspective of like, yeah, we're all green, we're all people or whatever. Makes you look at the individual, not the superficial traits like Ethan and Sky or Comic Skate were all about talking about. So that's White Lily. Yeah. Anyone that doesn't realize or just came in, the link is in the description. If you've been here, well, refresh. It's at the top. You got Pocket Jack's Comics channel link, and then under his indie project, which is the Kickstarter, and then Crystal McGee. Do you want to plug your the Good Night? Do you want to plug that, or
sure? Yeah.
Give a little
one sec.
All right, let me shift. I'll present you. Okay, so you're presenting. So whenever you're ready to pull it up, you can show the Good Night. And while you're doing that, get a little discussion going in the meantime. Has anyone saw Godzilla?
No,
not yet. I'd like to.
Okay.
I hear it's about a big lizard who battles monsters.
Yeah, no, I did a live stream last night with Lee Cole. Spoiler talk for most of it, and I, maybe for different reasons, there's discussion in Phantom Menace of like, oh, their critics are crapping on it because Aladdin's in theaters, so they got to shill for Disney. But from what I know, Aladdin hasn't gotten a great score either, so I don't really buy that narrative. I think it's a little bit of overvigilance on our side, assuming that. I think the score, critic-wise, for film, like the art of criticism, is fair. It is, I'd say it blending the human element, which is kind of a lot of MacGuffin building to keep the plot going, blended with the monsters that you're just wanting to see fight. It's a very simple idea. It kind of, not as bad, but it kind of crosses into some like Transformer territories. Like, I don't give a shit about this family. Just show me Godzilla punching stuff.
I was about to make that same comparison there. I was be like, Transformers, man, I could just go without the humans and just see like War for Cybertron or something,
You know what's funny? I was actually talking. I forgot I had my phone on mic, but my mic muted. But I was gonna say I didn't see Godzilla, but from what I've been hearing, actually, the last movie I saw was Brightburn. I put up a review on that on my channel. But I'm glad you mentioned that, was with the Transformers, because the one thing that I think that I grew up with the Transformers. We talk about G1, so when the Transformers came out, it was the Transformers. It wasn't Spike and his dad and Optimus Prime. Basically, that's what the Transformers movies were. For Sam and his dad, and Sam and his family, and the Autobots, basically. And I think because when you are making a movie like that and you want to get butts and seats, you got to try to spread it out a little bit as far as like who you're trying to hit. But at the same time, I think had they like when they did Bumblebee and they started out with them on Cybertron, if they would at least give us like half the movie was maybe the Cybertronian War, and then like a little bit the rest of it was like him crash landing on Earth or whatever, I think that would have been a little bit better. I don't know. It's just me. But like I said, I grew up with the Transformers being the Transformers. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to have a little bit of a human element in these movies.
No doubt.
But
yeah,
I hear what you're saying. I thought the exact same thing with all these Transformer movies. Like, way too much human. Like, I don't give a shit what's going on in this guy's life. Like, how's he helping the Autobots?
If you take a look at the original Transformers cartoon movie, which is one of my favorites of all time, there is like a slight human element in it, but it's really about the Transformers. If they could get that same kind of percentage in the movies, which I haven't seen Bumblebee yet, but if they get that same kind, I dipped out of last night, I couldn't finish it, but if they get that, I think they could maybe make something good. Did Bumblebee have like better designs for the Transformers? Like I said, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
like
more they kind of revamped the designs. Yeah,
it's a. I thought it was gonna be like a prequel, but apparently it's like a reboot for the series. So I'm not a Transformers fan, and I saw the tomato score. I think this was before Captain Marvel happened. So I was like, okay, there's like a huge critical consensus. Odin actually keyed me in on why they might be boosting that score so high, because it was like 90s certified fresh. It wasn't just like a 75 whatever. It was like high 90s. And it's because the chick who wrote it is writing Birds of Prey, so there's like an agenda behind boosting her credentials and her critical reception. Because you watch the Bumblebee, and for me, I felt it was like a 5 out of 10. It was, for all the complaints Transformers, especially the first one on its own has with like, wiki or whatever, same wiki and everything, the people, you just want to see robots. I felt it was kind of the same with this movie, even though it was maybe written better. It was still like, who cares? And then there's like so much convenience where they make this whole thing where it's like her dad's dead, and so she's going through this weird flux in her life, even though her mom and her brothers moved on with this new stepdad character or boyfriend who seems really good. There's no reason to have animosity. She's just kind of a frumpy bitch about him, and stuck on her dad and fixing this car and stuff. And she finds Bumblebee, and she's like a great mechanic, more so than like these 20+ year professionals in the junkyards and stuff. And then they make this whole thing where it's like she has this backstory of like she used to be a champion or award-winning swimmer in school or track or whatever, like, and she just gave it up after her dad died. And then they make it, in the climax, they make it pointed because they're in a canal gets flooded, and she's on this tower, and to like get away or save Bumblebee or whatever, she has to like high dive into the canal conveniently. And this is like her climax character wise of like overcoming or whatever. It's just like, what the fuck? Like,
I will say this about that movie. I did like that they gave him the G1 counterpart. At the end they show Optimus Prime with the actual trailer, which was pretty cool. And the one thing I didn't like about that movie, they made Bumblebee like a pet. Bumblebee was a lieutenant of the Autobots. He might not have been one of the top dogs like Jazz, but he was still one of the more known Autobots. Back we're talking G1. And I hate the fact that they made him silent and he didn't talk, and he was basically like a pet. That drove me crazy. I'm like, if you're gonna reboot it, make Bumblebee how he's supposed to be. You know what I mean? That's like one of my nitpicks, because again, one of the biggest problems I have, and I don't know if this is I can't speak for everybody. One of the biggest problems I have with with Hollywood in general is that they try to, everything is a reboot or rehash or this and that. And when you take something that has a name on it that people grew up with, and then you put that name on it, just because you're saying, oh, this is new and it's not for you, which annoys the F out of me, I can't unsee or unread the things that I learned from in the past. You get what I'm saying? So I know what Bumblebee's supposed to be like, just like I know what Luke is supposed to be like. And when you change them and then say, "Oh, this isn't for you," it pisses me off, and that's basically what it is. So.
Word.
Yeah. Hey, Crystal, do you want to pull up your Indiegogo campaign so you can
Hey, yeah, it's up.
narrate along?
I don't know if you guys can see.
No, I have it. I'm presenting you, but yeah, I'm not seeing your. If you screen share, because I'm presenting you, so it'll show.
Okay, so I have to screen share. 1 second.
Angus is always presenting.
Interesting.
I gotta say that I don't. As also a movie maker, you can check me out this weekend. 99-cent rental for Standoff at Sparrow Creek on iTunes. We're also on Amazon Prime. But when you're investing money in like a big project, being true to the source material is not real high on the agenda. I mean, now there's an argument to be made that if you are true to the source material, then you will reap more profits in the end. I don't know that people really cared about whether Bumblebee was faithful to his original role as lieutenant, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of outsucking in on Transformers. I just went for the movies.
Yeah.
I never watched the cartoons besides Beast Wars as a kid. Loved the toys, so that's that line and stuff. But yeah, I'm not a diehard Transformer, so I can enjoy the first Transformers. Some of the second. Is really I saw 4. That was the first one I saw in theaters. I saw 4, and I'm like, you've gone 4 movies, and now you're going to hint at like their origin, creators, or whatever. So I'm just like, and then last night trailer came out, and it's like, yeah, we got these like robots who can transform in different machines and have guns and shit, but they're fighting with knights. It just sounded retarded to me. Like
It
so
is retarded.
I couldn't
That's
finish
why.
that movie. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
All right, so let's hear about your good night.
15 grand, very impressive. Good job.
Yeah, thanks. Well, the good night, if you like Arthurian legend, we kind of interweave that with the past and present. This little teddy bear that you can see here, very cute. His name is Sir Alexander, and he's actually a lost knight of the Round Table. Traditionally there's kind of like 12 that people kind of know or that are well known. And he's just kind of another one of the group that was just kind of lost to history because his previous, I guess you could say, master has the power to kind of alter history, time, and space, stuff like that, as well as a very interesting power set. But it's 48 pages, black and white, and it's 1 of 12. And so it's pretty cool. I don't know. I'll scroll down so you guys can see some of the art.
How long is this going to be in demand? Just so I know my like timetable of when I need to, because it's like I got like White Lily, I got Caius, and I got this for sure that I want to back. So I'm like trying to figure out.
End of July, yeah.
Okay, so I got a good amount of time.
Yeah,
okay.
or until we start shipping. Yeah.
It looks really good, by the way. It looks really good. Also, I thought that White Lily looked really good. I like the black and white in this. It's phenomenal, and I really like the coloring in White Lily. So I'm not trying to just speak about tones here, but it's the first thing I typically notice when I look at things.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I really loved the original run of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The black and white artwork was fantastic, as well as ElfQuest.
So are you the artist?
No, I'm the writer. Yeah.
Okay.
The
I knew you
artist
wrote it.
is
I didn't know if you.
Francisco Nardi. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'll look into him too.
Yeah. He's pretty, fantastic. The art's great on every page.
So, how long do you think it'll be before you start pushing issue 2?
We're already a little bit over halfway artwork-wise into issue 2, and that's actually one of our stretch goals when we hit a 20K. So we're pretty close. Yeah.
Okay. So, last thing I'm thinking of, how much of do you have the whole series at least outlined, or do you have it all written and just waiting for each issue?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any once you start getting feedback? Do you think there'll be maybe some editing with going forward, just like things you hear where it's like, oh, I didn't think of that, or oh, this was bad.
Yeah, I
Change
mean,
that.
like with anything, you kind of get the fan response and kind of, put the little feelers out there to see what people are thinking. Maybe there's a character that you don't, particularly care for as a writer, but let's say like the fans really love them, and then maybe story-wise, if you could sort of fit them in a little bit more, if that makes sense, to kind of, you're there for the fans, man.
That's the opposite mindset of Lucasfilm. Good job.
That's funny. I was just about to say that's when you hit him with the green titty milk.
No.
No,
anything but that.
Yeah, okay, so awesome. Yeah, her link is there along with her channel at the top of the description under Pontiac Jackson, his campaign. Preston, I was going to ask you, since you brought this up, because I have Amazon Prime, so I'll probably check this out.
Cool.
The standoff at Arrow Creek. Is that correct?
Sparrow
Creek.
Sparrow.
Okay. Yeah. Spa. Put the spa in front of there. All right. So, what is this? You're talking about source material. So, I'm assuming this has a source material you're adapting.
No. This was it was a movie that we made. I have executive producer credit because I got the movie paid for, but I did not write it. It was the deal was presented to me as we have this movie that has already been sold to a distributor, so we already have a distribution deal lined up. If you can present the funding, we can give you a guaranteed return. I was like, let's do it. So I had no role in terms of what the movie is, and because I'm a writer myself, and I understood the dynamics of the producers and this new writer who we also let direct. His name was Henry Dunham, and I'll get into him in a minute. But I didn't want to come in. They wanted me for my money connections. They didn't want me for my writing talent. So I knew if I read the script, I would just give a bunch of notes, and people would be like, "Just jackass is coming in and telling us a bunch of." I didn't read the script, so I just showed up every day on set like, "What are we filming today?" They'd be like, "Oh, this is a scene where we hang the guy from the forklift." I'm like, "Sounds cool. Let's watch it." So that was neat. But when I actually saw the movie all put together, I was like, damn, this movie is really good. So I was very pleasantly surprised, and it goes to show, like, when you're a writer, if you just put a lot of work into like crafting the tale and really honing it down, it does pay off, because that guy had drawn up his own. He'd been working on this movie, the script, for years, and he had drawn up his own like storyboards of how he wanted everything to go. And this was his first time directing. And he was directing some fairly experienced actors, like they'd been, acting for a number of years. And so there would be a given scene, and the actor would be like, I think for this scene, my character should be over here doing like a big dramatic gesture, and maybe this, and maybe I should be looking at the guy like that. And Henry Dunham would be, I want you right here. And the actors were kind of bristling, like, who the hell is this guy to tell me what to do? But, the lead actor, James Badge Dale, he says in an interview, like, he would call the actors behind the monitor after the shot was done and show him, like, you see, when you stand where he tells you to stand, this is the shot you get. And it's because he had already drawn up the storyboards and he knew exactly the shot he wanted. So it was really a very well put together movie that we made for $500,000, and it's available on Amazon Prime and iTunes.
Awesome. And I'll probably check that out tomorrow.
So you guys are all comics gators. You would in general like the movie company that I work with. It's called Cinestate, and the guy who I'm getting to be personal friends with. We exchange text messages and stuff from time to time. Is named Dallas Saunier, and he's a conservative, but again, like myself, we go to Hollywood, we visit, we work with people who are on the other aisle, so we don't get rabid about it. But he does have very stated goals of, I want to make movies for everyone that's between LA and New York. So that is his goal. And if you look up like the movies he made, like the most recent one was Dragged Across Concrete with Mel Gibson, and there was another one where Vince Vaughn is playing like this his protagonists tend to be white guys who will be up against minorities. I'm trying to think of a little, and like Dragged Across Concrete, it's about a guy who he's a decent. He's played by Vince Vaughn, and he ends up dealing drugs because he's desperate and whatever, needs to feed his family. But the drug deal goes bad, and cops are, and so this big gun battle happens, and the character decides, I cannot allow good cops to die on my account. So he turns against the people that he's with, and he kills them, and then he surrenders. And then the rest of the movie is about the drug mob trying to get him while he's in prison. That's called Brawl in Cell Block 99. And there certainly is a lot of social justice hate, kind of directed towards Cinestate, but Dallas Sonny is pretty deft in dodging it. But I think you guys would like the movies that we make. No,
it sounds cool. I'm definitely looking forward to this. Got a lot of stuff to catch up on, unfortunately, though. Trying to be on YouTube, it's like trying to manage your time. So it's like the one thing I'm like, another fucking thing I need to watch. It's a good problem, though.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so since you're talking about social justice, one topic I wanted to talk about kind of is tangential with going back to Game of Thrones. How many of y'all have seen this deal going down where Sophie Turner is like, I don't want to work in a state that's anti-abortion or has anti-abortion laws?
Virtue signaling for the win.
God.
It all feeds into the same cycle. Like the thing that I think we all have to realize, because we're all in the same business. Outrage sells, and it's a retarded statement. Are you telling me tomorrow, if someone offers her millions of dollars for a project that's shooting in Georgia, she's going to be like, she would have a change of heart in a heartbeat? But she's just kind of signaling to her base and kind of giving the gang signals for the in crowd so that she can go hang out with them at the cocktail parties, just like Ethan Van Sciver does for his crowd. I mean, it's all part of the outrage mechanism, and everybody gets to make money off of it. So that's my thought.
Yeah, it's funny to me because I didn't even know this, but it makes sense with Ireland being a very Catholic state. They're very anti-abortion, and that's where a lot of the bread and butter is, where like the central headquarters for like Game of Thrones is, Northern Ireland. So it's kind of disingenuous that you're going to work on the show. Started, I guess at like 15, 16, but most of their career with Game of Thrones has been an adult life. Working in Winterfell, especially, I think, is set up in Ireland, and for her to like film this whole time there and be like, I'm not going to work in an anti-abortion place. It's like, it's disingenuous. And like you're saying, like, oh, you're not going to take millions, but also there's a reason that there's a film industry now in Georgia, because just think of this, like most of like the headquarters of film and stuff, it's all out in Hollywood, it's all in California. So for them to fly people out after making deals or whatever, fly them out to Georgia to film, even with all those expenses, it's still clearly cheaper to do all that and go to Georgia and get a return than stay in their like liberal havens in California.
Sure.
So like it all comes down to the bottom dollar, unless, and in a way, I'll respect Disney and all these other companies that are virtue signaling if they actually pull out from Georgia, Netflix and everyone, if they want to put their money where their mouth is and leave and take the hit in taxes and whatnot in more liberal states, then all power to you. Have your moral stance. I'm actually for, even though I'm against the stance you have, I'm for you standing up for what you believe in. But please do that. Please actually stand up for what you believe in, and not just get clicks on different websites and YouTube and stuff talking about you, and more followers and comments at you on Twitter.
Yeah, it's 100% virtue signaling. Like, I mean, if it wasn't in the news, she wouldn't even know this is happening. How many countries do these people film in that are abortion is illegal or extremely
or they decapitate gay people,
right. Yeah, exactly. It's all about what's in the news cycle. And hey, look at me, I'm down with this because you're down with this.
It's funny. It's funny you said it with anti-LGBT. I always fuck up that acronym, but
it keeps getting longer.
Yeah.
AQ plus.
Yeah. But I was watching, I can't remember what his channel's called. It's on the top of my subscription list though, because it's like a name, but I think it's like Actual Social Justice or something like that. But he was talking about how like the Young Turks were crying about Chick-fil-A in Texas, and towns are trying to like ban them from making new franchises in these towns, which Texas is implementing legislation to make sure that doesn't happen, because it comes down to like freedom of religion argument, freedom of speech argument, where it's like, well, we don't like your owner's stance, so we're going to stonewall you from making businesses here. If like the people petition, that'd be different per se, as opposed to just like boards and whatnot trying to stifle. But it's very disingenuous again, because Young Turks, regardless how you feel about their content and stuff, and believe in it or don't, they're owned by Al Jazeera, which is from Qatar, which is very anti-LGBT. So it's like,
oh wow,
why are you even talking about this? Just like ignore it, if anything, because you're not in the best place to talk about it. Talk about representation and social justice when your funders, the same idea where it's like, oh, the funders of Chick-fil-A, the owners, we don't like them for their stance. And it's like,
I want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
So I think that what we're looking at is the two main factions that we observe in human society: our desire to affiliate with people who share our same belief system, and our need to kind of interact in a society and trade goods and services amongst other people. And the wider your network of trading goods and services is, the better the product's going to be. You know, you can imagine if I'm just going to make a comic book or whatever, and I'm just going to go with people who are ideologically aligned with me, my talent pool is smaller. But I get to say, hey, everybody that worked on my project believes the same thing I did. But the wider your talent pool is, the more people you're working with, in general, the more services that they can offer, the better your rates. And so commerce is encouraging people to work kind of against their politics. But there's this natural tendency for people to just want to associate with people who they agree with. And so that's why you see Sophie Tucker, what I go, well, screw Georgia, but at the same time, not really. So there's the push and pull of commerce is pulling you to work with everybody, regardless of their political affiliation. And your political ideology is pulling you to just be in this one insular group. And we need to, look, America became great because of the free market. We need to kind of loosen up and work with people outside of our own political ideologies, in part because that's how we share with each other and how we learn what's right and what's wrong are in these debates. And the second point is, if we just become very insular and we just work in two camps and we don't talk to each other, that's usually a bad sign. That's typically when societies start to collapse.
Man, start by changing the name of your comic to Black Lily, then.
Exactly.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Well, that was the aviator call sign. I mean, I know that. I mean, because it's the Eastern Front, which is a joke I make. Like, so the different nationalities I'm working with are Ukrainian, Polish, Russian, German, or as we would just modernly call them, white people. So, but that was her aviator call sign was White Lily. So
not white, I'm Caucasian.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I definitely agree with what you're saying. But with stuff like this, where entertainers, who I can give some credence to, that they might have, ends with politicians and therefore maybe more aware than we think, because like there's this kind of view of like, you're a goddamn actor, I don't need to hear your politics or blah blah. And it's like, they're privileged to be in circles where they might rub elbows with these politicians across the world. So I think they at least have the chance to be informed on their discussions. So I don't want to just be one of those people that tries to silence actors. That's not my idea.
Right.
But it's a problem when you got petitions by actors and stuff for it, and because you look at society, like what Bill Maher said, which was I think untimely to say the least, when he's talking about Stan Lee and comics and whatnot, and importance. Yeah. But I really appreciate his viewpoint, regardless of how disingenuous or for lack of a better word it was, how he brought it up during like the death of the icon Stan Lee. But I really agree with his viewpoint, not with like, oh, because of comics and entertainment, that's why Trump got elected. You can say the same thing for Obama beforehand, but there's definitely this dissonance where we're more concerned with just entertainment and getting our fix, because we have this dissonance to society and actual adult problems. And so yeah, it's like, I definitely agree with the ancillary issue at hand, but it's becoming scary when you got like you've already seen all of the body of work where they're protecting Captain Marvel across all of media. They're skewing things that keep people from talking about that are negative, to say at least, in regards to it, or just questioning. And then you got channels randomly getting demonetized or having their videos nuked, even if there's no actual copyright content.
It's scary.
So yeah, we're in a weird time, and I've always, ever since I went to this film history class, I've always been aware of the propaganda tool that is film. It is the best propaganda tool since common language in empires like Roman Empire, Greek, etc., or like modern day with English is very well taught around the world to accommodate the West because we're the leaders. And so, the next thing is film after written press. It's an easier way to divulge and supersede illiteracy to spread messages and skew people, especially when you think, well, they're the news, their whole job, they have to be credible. You just kind of take it for granted. Now we're kind of coming back to this with the media. However small it is in actuality, we're definitely becoming, I would say, like post-World War II, like the noir craze in film, where there's this kind of jaded view of the government. Before, everyone just like, yeah, the government's on our side, they're the good guys, they're going to do right by us. And now it's like, are they? It's all about who's got money and this and that. So like, we're going through this transition again because in some grand way we haven't learned as a society.
Well, so but now we have the internet, and now we don't have like a barrier between what we think and what we're going to say and what someone in some other country is going to say. Whereas before there was diplomats and there were newspapers and, like, well, what do the Germans really think? I don't know. We had to read the German newspaper, but that's not what the Germans really thought. Like now we can go on the internet and see what the Germans really think. So it's a different time.
The one thing I say about when it comes to like, actors and actresses and everything, like if they're American citizens, they do have a right to have their political views. The one thing I would, advise them is going forward, just don't say anything about it. Keep your views to yourself and be as neutral as you possibly can. You can have your views. Like I don't say any of my views on the internet. That's the internet is what I do, make money, well, potentially, and it's not anybody's business what my political views are. But also the thing with that too, one of the reasons why I think when it comes to these, actors and actresses, is that we don't have like in the modern age, we really don't have like nobles and things like that. So movie stars is kind of like what our nobles and stuff would, quote unquote, air quotes, would kind of be like how you say they can rub elbows with the politicians and stuff like that. So they are like our modern day version of what a noble would be, I guess, if you want to put it like that. So that's where I see where they can kind of use their abilities, in a positive or negative way. But me personally, like I said, if had, knock on wood, if sometime in the future I ever got to that kind of a level, I'd keep my political things to myself. It's almost like who was it who did that? I think it was Dave Chappelle. He was saying that he was talking to a guy and he was telling him about, having sex with his wife. And then he said, well, who did you vote for? He said, hey, what are you talking about? I'm trying to tell you about my wife. We don't talk about politics here.
No, for me, I don't mind actors actually having politics very open and campaigning or whatnot. You have people that kind of do clearly there's like a conservative slant to this guy, but like Gary Sinise, really all in general about like his politics or his outreach and stuff is raising money for vets and injured vets and whatnot. So like that's all anyone knows about him as a political figure, despite if he says X, Y, or Z on commentaries with like Crowder or whoever he gets on with. No one's like going around like, you hear what Gary Sinise said? He said this, he believes that, blah, blah, blah. Kurt Russell, I think he's like, pro-gun ownership, but that's really only thing I know politically about him. It's really, it's when it can get skewed. Like, perfect example I use is Chris Evans, where he is the whole Covington kid shit, and he's like tweeting all this stuff against them, not knowing the actual context, because that was a whole smear campaign on those kids because they wore MAGA hats and they're pro-life Catholic kids and they're white males. But he's currently at the time Captain America. They're ramping up the release of Endgame. He is, a a well-established portrayal of an iconic American character in our mythology, if you will, something that you pass moral ethos through. And he's like telling you these political views, which can be extrapolated and tied to his character he's portraying, and therefore dumb kids and dumb adults as well, that are impressionable, might think, oh no, I love Captain America, I love Chris Evans. He thinks this, it doesn't align with what I think. Maybe I should change because I want someone like that to like me, you know. And we're definitely hyper aware of in the social media era of wanting to be liked. It is a sickness beyond the norms of like teenage, pubescence, where we want to fit in, but we're all like weird and growing, or like the natural tribalism of wanting to fit in where you're at. It's really skewing that, I think. And so it's like, I don't mind this as long as they're keeping it from their projects, because then it becomes like, oh, is this a political statement in your movie? You've seen it with Brie Larson, where it's like, this is my form of activism. She's very blatant, and Chris Evans is kind of like a step down from that.
Sure, but I mean, at the same time, we're talking about the need to be liked, as though like, well, gosh, if we just taught more self-esteem to people and they had more self-confidence in their little group. But in the age of the internet, again, it's not about a little group anymore. It's about, like I know YouTubers. I was doing a show with one last weekend, and when you're out there and you've got like 100,000 subscribers, like KP has, or like other YouTubers I talk to, or even kind of talk behind the scenes, like they have problems with anxiety, they have problems with all this pressure, because now they have this big audience that they got to keep happy, and so they lose track of who they really are and what they really think, and instead it becomes, what do I need to present in order to be liked? Because being liked is what it's all about.
I mean, do you think that any of these actors or companies are being paid at all, maybe to say or any of these things or do these things?
For Hollywood, no. But at the same time, that actor and specifically that agent probably has a person in mind for who they're trying to go, hey, Joss Whedon, I heard what you said about Donald Trump. Did you see what I said about Georgia? Wink, wink, right? I mean, they're trying to get in with people. That's the reason you isolate other people, is to get in with people who are opposed to them.
I mean, I see that, but also, I mean, actors and like celebrities can be people of influence, like we've been talking about. They can, influence people, and then there could be, I don't know, some sort of monetary value to that if they play ball,
Sure.
If they do what they're being told. And I'm not saying any of them are going against their own beliefs. Maybe they're just like kind of, hamming it up a little bit because they're told to. I'm not giving anyone a pass here like Chris Evans or anything like that. But I mean, to me, I think it might be pushed on them a little bit. Some of them, like, I don't know, maybe not. I could be completely wrong, but I think it's plausible in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, and I think that's definitely out there, since just like YouTubers, how they get these brand deals and stuff like that. You might choose a brand deal for something that you use and you kind of agree with, if that makes sense. I mean, you could essentially sort of do the same thing, so it's possible.
No, I agree.
I mean, if someone gave me like $50,000 to say something I didn't believe in, I'd probably take it and say it. I'm saying.
Well, but that's not how the deal would work, right? But the deal would work as, hey, do you want to be the spokesperson for Chick-fil-A, for instance? And you're like, sure, I'll take money. Okay, but if tomorrow you get up in front of the news and are like, Christianity is a bunch of shit, well, guess what? You lost your sponsorship.
No, it's funny. So, you might see ways this ties in or something. I don't know how to quite sell it, tying it with this, but kind of got me wanted to talk about quote unquote Filmgate, for lack of a better term, as of yet. So the idea of
filmmaker, very interested. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the idea of Filmgate is how to say it. So like the Fandom Menace, we have these channels you love. We got the High Council, especially, that regardless if they want to call themselves leaders, they're natural leaders. They have a natural draw to them just with the numbers alone, trying to get through the system in the Fandom Menace. But also, they're kind of leaders just starting the way for us. And ever since I started, I saw the blueprint they had of like, a trio or who, a group getting together and aligning and rotating and whatnot.
Who
And
were
we've kind of expanded with the Fandom Collective as something bigger to
Okay.
the whole mindset is to boost other channels. But I was thinking that, Comicscape is in its infancy, but the further it goes, it has the chance to legitimize itself as a alternative outlet in the industry. And with that, I was thinking, we can't just support creators with super chats and viewership that pays them and stuff. That's all well and good. Don't stop that. But we need something that legitimizes us as an actual movement, that we contributed something. So the idea is Josiah Rises has made a film. It's on Amazon Prime called Taker's Crown. So he has experience as a writer, director, producer. And then Rookie Critic has built his channel up from scratch and collaborated on huge collaborative efforts with people in the community. And the idea is like, hey, let's get this $5,000 fund. It'll be split evenly between them, and we can, at least partially fund, because I assume Josiah has bigger projects than just $2,500 will cover, but it'll help go to this if he gets that funding, and we can be the initial.
You want to make a movie studio, is what you're saying?
Potentially, yeah. That's the idea of it's like we're about servicing the fans, listening to fans. If we're adapting something, we're doing it faithfully, not like Last Jedi-ing a product where it's like, oh, this character you've loved for X amount of years, well, we're just going to fundamentally change them, and you're just going to have to accept it or get the fuck out. It's the whole idea is being subservient to the fans, because they're the ones that are paying you, and rewarding them for that. And the idea is rewarding fans, not just with, hey, you like me, fund me, or whatever, help me make this a profession, but let's actually contribute something back, where it's like you're investing in a product, you're getting back beyond just commentary on Hollywood products. Like, let's actually contribute something. So this is hopefully the first step in something huge. The idea started back in December when they had the copyright claim on Star Wars Theory. My idea was like, this is collusion. This is Hollywood collusion, because Warner Brothers owns Warner Chappell. They own the rights to manually claim music for Star Wars on YouTube, at least some of the music. Even though some of that money goes to Disney, they have the ultimate control of it. All right. And so it's like, why would Warner Brothers do this when Lucasfilm already had a deal with Star Wars Theory about how he's managing this? He had to create everything, couldn't crowdfund, jump through hoops. All right. And you see what he brought us that was generally well loved in the fandom and just in Star Wars fandom, with no chance to make any money back on it. It's a complete passion project, love of Star Wars. Just think if he had that and the ability to crowdfund and to make a profit if people rewarded him and liked it, for something that wasn't controlled by Hollywood, that he only had to answer to the one creator or the one creative board and how it's created, and he could be rewarded. So that's the grand idea. And to round it out, Jeremy always talked kind of mockingly about Rian Johnson, where the idea of like, we need less white dudes making Star Wars, and yet he's at the time trying to take a trilogy for himself as a white dude. So it's disingenuous saying this crap. And the idea is like, be the change you want to see. And so it's like, I've said this stuff. No one's really stepped up at bat. So I'll at least step up as a executive producer type, trying to fund something with people that have ideas, and be the change I want to see. Be the first step in hopefully a movement of creativity.
Well, hey, I would encourage you then, if that's really your interest, to take a look at Cinestate, the company I was talking about before, because I know the guy who owns it. I could text him right now. He has a slate of movies. They all are basically designed to appeal to. Look, it's not like people wearing MAGA hats, right? It's not overt, beat you over the head with it. But at the same time, he does kind of thumb his nose at, the social justice sensibilities and all of it. In the Western, guess what? The Indians are the bad guys. But, in terms of the writing, he's trying to show, well, this isn't all Indians, but in like the movie that really put him on the map was with Kurt Russell, and it's called Bone Tomahawk. And the premise of the movie is that there's this one group of like troglodyte Indians that have become really inbred, and they're just like savage animals. And it's kind of Kurt Russell in this town against these group of savage Indians. And when was the last time you heard a movie plot like that?
I've actually heard that's a really good movie, and
it is a good movie. It's a damn good movie. You should check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. So
I love Kurt Russell.
Oh, just to clarify though, because I'm definitely hearing perhaps some, maybe not concern, but just a kind of a presumption. This isn't a. I'm definitely utilizing Comicsgate as an idea of like, well, they're not catering to the fans. We're like, the fans like, we don't like this X, Y, and Z. It's not racist or derogatory or anything. It's just quit doing these things with established characters. If you want to do interject new identities, like females or minorities or sexuality with characters, make new ones. Don't piggyback off of the success of Captain America or whoever. That's not necessarily a conservative thing. I don't want you to think this is like a MAGA movement, because I'm a red guy. Generally speaking,
well, I mean,
I want this to be apolitical as possible. You know, if people want to come and make a political movie, even if it's a leftist idea, like you could say Nightcrawler is a huge indictment of capitalism, but it doesn't come across as, you know, quote unquote SJW. It comes across as a critical take with the subtext. It's not skewing your politics per se. It's just giving you a cautionary tale, to say the least. So if someone want to do that, come to me. Like, let's try to get this funded.
Hey, I'm deist, so I only want to see Daycrawler.
But in general, if we're making escapist entertainment, we want to keep it political free.
Well, of course, but that's why I'm saying, like, I would encourage you to look at the slate of movies that Cinestate has put out, because they are relatively politically free. Like, you know, they don't beat you over the head with it, but at the same time, you could stand back and go, hey, wait a minute. That guy might have been considered. I mean, maybe he was. Who knows? It was cowboys and Indians, but they were killing Indians. Yeah, I mean, I suppose they were in Bone Tomahawk, but you know, it doesn't beat you over the head with it. So I would encourage you to look at those movies if those are the, you know, kind of the genre you want to jump into. And I'm making movies with Dallas Sonnier right now. So if you want to come on board and you can put some money together and you got a movie premise, okay, great. Let's talk. I'm here.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, like one of my followers who is critical of me and of the Fandom Menace with you know, super chats and whatnot, what he views has become the culture and whatnot of always seeing the fandom as a bank per se, is his view. I disagree, but I respect him, and I appreciate his cautionary view. And I was telling him, like, I don't know if it's clear to him, but this isn't a movie I'm trying to start where it's like everything is crowdfunded. It's like, we're just little guys on YouTube. We got to start somewhere. Josiah is saving what money he can for his own work. It's not like he's hoping Geeks and Gamers just going to fund him or something. He's working himself to make his stuff. But you know, with Rookie Critic, he's funded whatever money he's had to spend. He's done everything out of his own pocket. And so if he got him some money, maybe the scope of just film locations could change for him, because he doesn't have a car. He has to take a bus or pay someone to drive him, or like actors or someone to film with him or whatever, you know. This could expand the scope for his creation more than he ever thought, you know. So there's that angle for him. Plus he does like comedic stuff. Josiah has a Tolkien kind of view of creativity. So he has like bigger ideas. He's done a film already. So I'm using this fund to present two different flavors for you to fund as well. So it's not just let's all throw our money in this one basket. It's already a twofer, regardless of how much or how little it gets funded. And my role, I'm just pushing this as a fund. I don't have an idea myself, but perhaps I can lend criticism and whatnot to help improve these projects, be more than just an executive producer with funding. Yeah, I'm just really excited for this to take off. You know, if we get enough steam, we gotta hopefully
calling you a Black Iger.
Sure, yeah, you know, I'm really passionate about this, and it's, you know, like I said, it's, you know, I've seen comments before like, we need to do this, and it's like, well, you know what, I guess I'll step up to plate and try to push this, you know, because no one else is currently. Comicsgate guys are kind of just establishing their brand right now, so they can't worry about film adaptations as they have to establish it. You know, even EVS with Cyberfrog, he has to release it and have good reception and then start building it before you can ever think about like, hey, yeah, some guy wants to make an indie film with me, with my character. He has to establish it. So it's like, hopefully we can cross into Comicsgate, but I've definitely utilized that a lot of the ideals of of providing an alternate, since the industry won't step back and be more friendly to all fan base.
Yeah. Going back to what Preston was saying, I think that's what, that's really what we're looking for. Like, just because we might be more right leaning doesn't mean we want to get rid of, left leaning stuff in favor of right leaning stuff. We want to get stuff, we don't want left or right leaning anything. We just want some good stories.
Sure.
And I think that's what everybody's aiming at, everybody on this panel, at least.
Sure. Well, and again, I would encourage you too, to check out the slate of Cinestate movies. I think they're all very good. And if you go and search for interviews that Dalasani himself does, he's a really good publicist. He's good at getting himself out there. But when you hear him talk, like you listen, and it doesn't sound like anything objectionable. It sounds like, very smooth, here's what I'm here to do. And at the same time, the media people, and he knows this, he's playing the game, the media people are kind of feeding him like, so we understand that you kind of are bucking the Hollywood trend and in the era of Trump. He's like, well, yeah, but he'll take that question, he'll kind of downplay it. Like, he's not going to be like, hell yeah, we're owning the libs and we're going to, no, he doesn't do it. He kind of downplays it. He's still kind of, he's not trying to isolate anybody. He's like, I want everybody to see my movies. And so that's one way to do it. And that's the opposite of what Ethan Van Sciver does, which he has like, I know my market and every day I'm just going to hit it. But the thing is, he's going to own that market, but he's not going to grow outside of it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's like the free market. He's found a niche that he thinks is a devout purchasing fan base. And so it's like, let me be more true to myself than stepping back from what I believe somewhat. And I think he's actually pretty fair though, because like, he said that he recently had that interview with the trans person from Twitter who only has like a free hobby vlog or blog or what have you. And stuff, and clearly has their political beliefs and whatnot. But he's shown that he's, and I think it reflects on Comicsgate. It's like we're open to everything. We got Cyborg Patriot here, who is a trans person in the process of transitioning. I'm not sure how red pilled she is per se, but she might have liberal takes or whatever. But she's welcome to Comicsgate and to the Fandom Menace, just like a buddy we got that I've streamed with multiple times. Me and him, Abu Nas, have clear different political views and stuff, especially our different paths in life and areas we're from. He's a card-carrying liberal Democrat, Muslim from New York. I'm a somewhat conservative military vet from Oklahoma, who's an atheist, and we're united in this push against what Hollywood's doing with our franchises. So, I think you should give perhaps some more credit than your take, and that's not me being like, oh fuck Preston. It's just I don't know. I think there's more to say than just like the personalities that are like the leaders. Clearly, right-leaning people are more prone to come to our side.
Sure.
But yeah, we're open to everybody as long as you're down for like.
Well, but I mean, are we talking about Comicsgate or are we talking about your idea to make movies? Because
I think it kind of crosses over.
Okay,
and that's why I want that at least to start, because Comicsgate has proven to be a pretty devout purchasing fan base. But yeah, I'm not going to cater to political stuff. And there'll be a distinction. It's like, some people might try to indict me, like, you said this in a video, and it's like, well, yeah, that doesn't reflect on the projects I'm working on. And it's just like, I'm just going to own it. Like, you can try to smear me and that's fine, but it's not going to work. Just like you had with Christopher Priest with clearly has his views, but it's not affecting his writing per se.
Right.
And I think that people need to just be more like that. Need to be more like who is it? I can't remember his name. O'Connell or Connor, whatever, from All in the Family. Archie Bunker.
Oh, Carol O'Connor.
Carol O'Connor, dude. That dude was a hard liberal. I think
he was
teacher, but he played a kind of an overly right, stereotypical guy. And he opened those conversations.
All in the Family was that the main character was really it was supposed to be about this young hippie couple, and the dad was just supposed to be, to represent the typical kind of antagonistic parent to the hippie couple. But everybody loved the Archie Bunker character that would just get on and just like, rail against, what was then social justice, and the hippies today with the chicks, with the hair down to their ass, and people loved it. And so, they had to kind of shift who the main character was. It became all about Archie Bunker rather than about Meathead and whatever the daughter's name was. I forget.
Yeah. Well, one moment.
I just
you can carry on, Reggae.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, as far as Ethan goes, yeah, he has found a niche and he's filling it.
Yeah.
However, his comics, I mean, from what he says and from what I've seen, like he wants them to be apolitical. Like, yeah, he's very right leaning, but and he gets a lot of rabid followers from the right side. But yeah, he's all about being apolitical in the product itself, and I respect that.
That's exactly it. He's walking the walk. He'll say it and then he'll do it. I think that's incredible because he's not really.
He made a comic book about a frog, and it doesn't have Republicans and Democrats. Hooray! But to sit here and laud him as being apolitical is absurd.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about his product.
Yeah. Well, and I'm saying it's a book about a frog in an apocalyptic world. It doesn't have any political relevance to modern day. It's not going to. But hooray! But to sit here and go, yay, he avoided politics in Cyberfrog. I mean,
you could put politics in it.
That's the point.
Can have it like an allusion to politics or whatever. You can do it with anything. Look at Star Wars or whatever.
Yeah, Star Wars is a huge Vietnam allegory, but it's so subtle,
right?
That you root for the. This kind of makes me think of Godzilla with the eco-terrorist plot because it's Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, he's actually like in a terrorist organization. It's a rebellion against an established government that's ruling with their might, at least at the least their power, have the right to dictate order in the galaxy. But we root for him. We root for Punisher. But I'm sure there's like some political allegory through some of the stories of Punisher. I'm not very well versed, but his general concept, it's all about how you present, like how subtle you are. And that's the thing. It's like the perfect examples I use in like film with comics is Iron Man and Dark Knight are two sides of the coin with the war on terror. Dark Knight's very explicit with the Patriot Act as its premise for subtext. And do you fall prey to getting dirty with the terrorist, or do you keep your virtue and stay above them? But they never skew your politics. Iron Man never skews your politics about the war on terror. And Captain America Civil War is a subtextual allegory about state sovereignty and where do you draw a line when you have superpowered heroes and whatnot, and the ability to stop stuff, but you're infringing on someone's right to say no. They never skew, and that's how you can do politics in comics or film. If you want it to be escapist entertainment.
I agree. Make people have people make up their own minds about it and figure it out themselves rather than shoving it right in their face, like the Batwoman trailer or whatever.
Right.
To say woman like 18 times in it or
Sure.
God, that trailer.
But I mean, just looking at it, and hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Cyberfrog or whatever the next EVS project is going to be, some great bridge builder that will be lauded the world over. But I highly doubt it. He's marketing to his niche, and maybe his books, that the art itself might not have any political allegories. Although even as a storyteller, like if you look at the Cinestate films, there are some political messages in there, maybe if you look really hard. So I think they're kind of impossible to avoid altogether. But he has made his brand. He is a political firebrand. That's how he gets paid. That's what he does every day. So the idea that he's going to make this artistic work that's going to be embraced by people outside that political circle, I find very dubious.
Well, that's true. But the whole point of all of this is to keep politics out of the entertainment itself. We all have our own views, and we might be vocal about those views. But when we go to this entertainment to escape from this bullshit, that's where we don't want to see it, and that's what I believe he's doing.
Yeah,
and
like The Last Jedi.
That's what we want.
Last Jedi is a great example of like explicit political pandering, where it's like, look at this great anti-capitalist ideal.
Sure,
and it's so disingenuous because
it's horrible.
it's by Disney, who just spent $71 billion on Fox. It's like, they're the epitome of capitalism of extreme capitalism, I would say.
But
in
at
film,
the same time,
like Nike.
Did you watch Trainwreck?
Trainwreck. Not familiar with that now.
That was a rom-com with Amy Schumer.
Oh, that's why.
Does it live up
That's
to
why
its
it's called
name?
Trainwreck.
That's exactly my point. That's why, right? If you actually watch the movie, there's no politics in that movie. But guess what? It has Amy Schumer in it. You don't want to watch it, right?
Oh, I get it. I totally get what you're
it's not
saying.
it's not even her politics. Amy Schumer is just not funny to me.
Okay.
You know, that's why I would never see it.
If we take Brie Larson and we put her in a rom-com, are you gonna go watch it?
If it gets good reviews from people I trust, sure.
Okay.
I'm open. See, that's the thing.
I'm not going to see a rom-com period. So
that's the thing. Though. With Chris Evans,
right?
He's clearly political on the left.
Yeah.
But I still see Avengers movies. I own all three Captain Americas. His politics don't come into the films, despite him clearly making, you could say, a niche fan base off of his political views. I think that's what EVS does, or at least that's potential. Although he's the firebrand, he's made a personality on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff where people might see the name and be like, "Oh, it's him. I'm not going to watch a Nazi or something." But if they were unaware of him as a creator or something, and they saw this product, they're probably like, "Well, this is pretty cool. You know, I want to see a sequel or see the next thing he does." And that's what we're really pushing. That's the whole point. Is
it's possible, but again, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Of the nature of commerce is to work with people that you may not politically agree with, and that comes to patronage too. So we would like maybe left-leaning people to buy Cyberfrog and judge it not on the creator but on what's in it. I don't think that's going to happen. But at the same time,
sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at Kermit the Law. He said this chat has a white male problem.
But I think the other thing is like I do see the same thing amongst conservative as well as Comicsgate crowds of there are certain people that go on their blacklist, like Brie Larson. Like I'm never going to watch a movie or Chris Evans, and that's not to say everybody does it, but there is certainly a trend to go. Well, I'm never reading another DC comic ever again. Like okay, fine. So.
Oh yeah, no, I think how do I say it? I think it comes down to the individual, regardless of who you're following, and you like their stuff, and you see this coverage where it's like, man, there's just another reason not to like this person or their products. I'm trying to think like Bill Maher. I love Bill Maher products. Love his comedy, love his humor. Despite me, generally, I would say, I don't know specifics each little thing, but generally I'm completely opposed to him politically, but I can appreciate him because him being an SJW, quote unquote, he has discourse with his enemies, politically speaking. At least he's friends with Ben Shapiro and Coulter and whatnot. He offers that, and so that I see EVS kind of doing that to some degree. He offers discourse as opposed to some people it's like they shut themselves off. I think it's just a problem with our culture, not necessarily with Comicsgate itself, although it's become a movement where that's possible to over accentuate. I think we're just in a culture with Twitter and whatnot that you get entrenched. And you've seen some of my video content in the last few months where it's like, yeah, I'm in the Phantom Menace, but I can think for myself. I have my own opinions. And if you're a follower, you can disagree, but I'm going to present you this stuff. Like did a video about Mark Hamill as a hack and that he's to blame for The Last Jedi to some degree. And some people were pretty outraged about that and entrenched because, I have this view, I must be a sequel trilogy shill, I must love Reylo, etc. Right. And so it's like, as individuals, you have to fight that. You have to be accountable for yourself. Like, you can follow whoever, but at the end of the day, it does come down to the individual to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think EVS is a bit of an exception, probably a group of exceptions, though, where, like, for example, like if I used to go in a comic shop and I'd buy comics not knowing who the creators were, and then I see the politics when I read it or whatever, then I'm turned off. Before buying before I bought the comic, I didn't know anything about him. But with EVS, he's got this whole thing where you actually have to pretty much know who he is, go to his website, buy his comic, and go through all of that. Whereas, like, I've purchased a lot of comics that I've read through them and be like, I don't really know if I'm into this, you know what I mean? So I think people know what they're getting with EVS, whereas sometimes you find out later what you bought into.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting way to market things. I mean, I think it's a gamble in some parts, to go all in on something like that.
I mean, it's. I don't know that it's a gamble. I mean, it's a tried and true mechanism of, do you want to have a broad appeal to lots of people, or do you want to have kind of a hyper appeal to a smaller group?
Exactly. The gamble is which one will be more successful, I guess.
Right. Well, I think at the time, look, I'm not a huge EVS fan, so jump in and say, no, you're wrong. But it seemed like he capitalized.
But like, for example, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, like, if you went to the comic shop and bought, like, say we were talking earlier about how Cyberfrog probably wouldn't have like a lot of politics in it. If you went to like the comic shop and purchased a comic that didn't have the politics in it, and you didn't know who EVS was, would you still hold that against him to some point? Like, you wouldn't even know. You'd be just kind of ignorant to the whole.
Was all right. So your question was, would I, as a person, or
really just go to a store?
I'm sorry. What was your question?
Oh, it's completely hypothetical because, like I said,
would a hypothetical person know what the politics of EVS was from reading Cyberfrog?
Yeah, without knowing who he is. If they just picked up the comic, like, if and just read it without the politics in it, like, would it's, because I think that brings up an interesting point where you can have a side, but at the same time, if people are ignorant to your art, or to your influences to your art, and you don't put them in your art, then it doesn't make a difference really if you're still putting out something good.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll give you an example. He's only done 2 films in like a decade, but they're high quality. The first one he did had an Oscar nom for the best actor. Tom Ford, beautiful filmmaker. He's a married gay man. He's from what industry? I think he helped revamp like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, one of those big designer companies. And then he built a film company. So he's done 2 quality films. I don't know if he's funded smaller ones or tangential ones outside of his creating himself, but love his stuff. But then when it was politics, he's gay and stuff, and in the industry, I assume he's got some pretty liberal stuff, but he's come out and said, like, every man should be penetrated once to understand rape. That's a pretty radical view, but that doesn't stop me from enjoying or looking forward to future products, because he's proven himself as a creator despite a very detestable, in my view of men and masculinity and rape prevention in his ideal or whatever. So I don't know. Me being fully aware,
it seems a little objectionable from like an American standard, but if you were in ancient, like Athens, they would probably be like, yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, like the whole thing is like, even knowing someone's politics, there's that whole separating the art from the artist. Like Gary Glitter, I fucking love Rock and Roll Part 1. I love a song which is very questionable now, given how it's made with I assume like a kid choir or something, but there's a song called Do You Want to Touch Me? And then you find out, he got busted for child porn on his computer and you got it cleaned. So it changes your perception of him, but are you going to stop enjoying that product that he made that was beloved? That's a real extreme. Or like Kevin Spacey with his questionable history, Harvey Weinstein, products that were made with him. It's like you can separate even criminal people from their art.
Back a long time with like agents who would kind of take people, or publicists who would take people whose politics may be way out there, particularly if they're musicians and they're like, I want to sing about the proletariat smashing the capitalism, and the agent would be like, okay, that's great, we're going to need you to bring it down a notch. You're put on a suit and a tie, you're going on this talk show, here's what you're going to say and here's what you're not going to say. Like taking people who are radical and kind of putting them into the mainstream and trying to take their radical views and put them in the closet. And certainly the corporations would come and clean up the art form. So by the time you bought the record, it wouldn't be particularly objectionable. But then later on, when he goes on a drunken bender and, there's like, oh my shit, I didn't know that guy was a communist. Like it still changes your view. And so that's kind of what the classic thing that corporations and agents and managers did, was they kind of took you and they massaged away the rough edges and put you in the light as just this kind of middle of the road, every man, But now in the days of YouTube, that's kind of gone. It's now about marketing not to everybody, but marketing to kind of an increasingly narrow niche. and just hitting it hard. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a valid assessment. I think the biggest thing, the whole purpose of Comicsgate, or like my Filmgate idea, kind of building off of that platform established, is there's people who are critical or saying like, oh well, 2 of the 3 high counselors, they support MAGA or whatever. It's just a a conservative movement in entertainment, blah blah. It's like, no, you're mixing it up, dude. They, especially EVS, he's come from a place where, as far as we know, it could be just. There's always that reasonable doubt of like, well,
Right.
what is it? What is he saying or whatever?
Right.
But it seems pretty clear that he was the somewhat outspoken conservative, and it was getting to the point where you can't be conservative. You have to toe the political line with liberal thinking to work in comics. Otherwise, you have to shut up. You either say what we think or you get out. And so EVS saw the writing on the wall, got out before they canned him, or would have canned him or tried to or whatever, and just went solo and became a leader in this movement. And the idea that I take away is, and this kind of goes back with like, I am in league with in streams and stuff with Abu Nas, a Democrat Muslim. Your political affiliation doesn't matter. It's the fact that you can be a creator and have and display whatever your politics are, and not face, what do you call it, like a little gossip circles to like shut you down or dox you or find out all your history to silence you because you're problematic because your politics. That's the idea. So that's what I'm all about. It's like facilitate your personality as much as you want, but when you get into the actual creation of entertainment, keep it out. If it's supposed to be escapist, like comics are supposed to be. Now, if you had an actual political comic, that's arguable. Like Mark Waid's going to do this project about like gun violence, and I'm just like, oh man, you're really narrowing your market. But by all means, do it. Or like was it Kwanzaa or whatever has this idea of like an X-Men kind of story, but it's only black people are X-Men, so people are scared of black people because. And the idea is like this is about like white racism. It's like, well, if only black people had superpowers, it kind of makes sense that people would be scared of them because of the potential. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, like. If you're going to be political, at least make it make sense. So you get into something like that.
And these all sound like, look, that's the beauty of the free market. If Kwanzaa wants to put out some stupid book, well, we don't have to decide if it's good or bad. You can just put out the book, and did you sell a lot? If so, hey, good on you. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, there is that aspect too. It's like, hey, by all means, play the free market to your best advantage. If you can find a market for it, do what you want.
Exactly.
But there is consequence to putting politics into a generally escapist platform. I mean, you'll get Dark Knight Returns. There's a clear Reagan character in the president with Superman and making Superman one of the villains in the comic. But at the end of the day, I never felt like it really told me anything about Reagan's politics. It was more of a that was a symbol you could relate to in the current time with the president being Reagan at the time. And so it's like an indictment of the state and questioning what we never questioned about Superman being the truth, justice, and the American way, and being like the right hand of the law for America. And what's that mean on a global scale and stuff. And that even that doesn't necessarily skew your politics. It makes you think on like a grand scale of government.
It's thought provoking, And like I love V for Vendetta for that. I honestly like the movie better than the comic book, but the comic was good too.
Another great example of like there's a political theme to it, but it's not a skewing. It's not telling you if you don't think this, then you're a fucking Nazi. And it's like that's what's become a problem. In like you've seen where they put Obama in the comics and he's like a hero, and then every time they put Trump in the comics, he's a fucking white male totalitarian, bigot, blah blah blah, and it's like. Yeah, this is the skewing I'm talking about, where it's like, at least be neutral, at least be fair if you're using these figures, because clearly half the country picked this guy to run the country. So,
how far up do you think that goes in the company, though? Like, who's?
The top, like Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige was like recently asked about Chris Evans' tweets and stuff, his presence on Twitter. Anti-Trump stuff. He's like, oh, I love his activism. It's beautiful, or whatever. And so it's like this is where you're getting like this is supposed to be like Captain America and Iron Man. This should be uniting the country regardless of your politics. Instead, you got this guy. It's like clearly advocating for a very specific political agenda. With
that was the point I was trying to make earlier. Exactly. I didn't want to go too conspiracy theory Alex Jones on it though, but I was just thinking like, how far up does it go to where like someone's like, yeah, I'll pay you so much to say what I want you to say, and then I'll act like I didn't know about it or whatever.
Well, and what I was saying before is like, that's not typically how the conversation goes. Typically how the conversation is that, you know, that the people who are doing the movie casting, the people, you know what their politics are. You see them at parties. You know how they lean. And, you know, like theoretically, they could hire conservative people just as easily as they hire non-conservative people, but they don't. And there's a lot of money that are going towards just a very handful of parts, and you want that part. So you have a very narrow base, and you're trying to hit it hard. So you come out and politically be like, yeah, screw Georgia. You know, it's how it works.
Okay, look at me, give me a job.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we've gone a little over my normal time, but it's still in hiatus, I assume. But we're gonna close out. I went a little over. It's time to get ready for work in the morning. Appreciate all you coming here. Let's get everyone to plug their channels. Let's start with Pocket Jacks Comics. Preston.
That's my channel, Pocket Jacks Comics, YouTube/Pocket Jacks Comics. White Lily issue 3 currently on Kickstarter. For people who have ideological preferences for Indiegogo, I will do an Indiegogo campaign after this closes. Typically, those campaigns don't just like do hysterically well, so I'm just like, whatever. I've become a little dubious on the, well, if you had it on Indiegogo, I'm like, I put Guinevere and the Divinity Factory on Indiegogo. It wasn't blowing the doors off, but there will be a campaign on that later. So.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that first stream we did with you with Rookie, and getting to know you. Appreciate your stance on things. Even if there's disagreement comes up, I myself like to facilitate discourse with rational people. So yeah, don't ever feel you have to hold back.
Okay.
Or cuck yourself, as we like to say. Yeah, we're all open for it. You know, I hope to have Mad Max on here at some point and discuss like the Filmgate idea that he's sees it as an extension of what's wrong with the YouTube format, especially in the Fandom Menace. So yeah, look forward to that. And go check out White Lily. That's also below his channel link in the description. Hoff Solo, my buddy in rock and roll.
That was so man.
Also the channel.
First of all, I want to say very nice to meet you, Gaze and Jax. Hey, how long is your comic going to be up, Jax? Because I'm interested.
One more week.
1 more week. Okay. I will try to get on that, my bro, because that looks really good, man. Yeah, great to meet you guys. Had a lot of fun talking to you. Angus, thank you so much for having me on, man. My bro there too. My channel's Hoff Solo. Check it out. Just do kind of goofy stuff, all kinds of different things. I don't really have one thing I stick to. I just try to keep it funny and light for the most part. And I do have some more comedy, hopefully coming up in the next week, a good show. So stay tuned. It should be fun. Yeah, thanks.
No, I love Hoff Solo. I can't remember how I came across him. It might have been Flip might have found you through the Twitter or something, but yeah, love that you're part of this community, like what you contribute. Love that you're in Columbus area, so I can have another buddy to meet up and stuff. Because I saw Aquaman with Proper Jeremy when he was visiting, so I love crossing paths with fellow Fandom Ministers.
Absolutely, man. You want to catch a movie sometime, just let me know or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I thought about hitting you up for Godzilla, but it's like, oh, I want to like see it right now for opening. You know, I don't want to wait for one fucking day. Red Gaze. Let's hear about your bigoted channel.
Oh, howdy. Yeah, total bigotry all day, all night long.
I added you to the description. Sorry. I thought you were in my my normal like settings upload. I thought I added you. I will get on that after this.
Oh, no, that's all right. Thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you guys. And this is what I love. Like, you know, we can get together. We can disagree on some things, but we can have a nice civil conversation and, you know, walk away just shaking hands digitally. But, yeah, my channel's The Red Gaze. We look at movies, trailers, talk Star Wars, MCU, and comics. There's a lot of Comicsgate material, but any indie comic, you know, I'll take a look at. But yeah, it's great great talking to you guys, and thank you, Angus. You've been a great supporter, and I very much appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we like to joke here: bigots assemble, bigots unite.
Speaking of flipped out, have you guys seen his newest video?
Oh,
good.
Yeah,
night,
go check
dude.
out
I was on the
Flipped Out's
floor.
video.
Yeah,
have you seen the first one he did with that character?
No, I saw it was part 2, and I couldn't find the part 1. Maybe I didn't scroll down far enough.
Yeah, I'll have to tell him to update that because, yeah, that's a pre-existing character that it's like he's like a terrorist or whatever, and then he gets blown up, and he's like, "Oh, my dick is blown off," and so this is like he's trying to save face, and it's like
40 virgins ain't sounding so good now.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Dude, watch that video again. Go to about 120 into the video because when he says something about celebrating the penis, dude, you can see his face. He starts to crack up when he says that. That's when
celebrate
I lost
the
it.
penis.
When I lost it.
Yeah, I love his quote unquote questionable material because he told me, before he got his current job that keeps him really busy. We talked a lot, and built a good relationship outside of just being collaborators, and he has this one character I love, Kung Fu Flip, but you have to do it in moderation, and that's the thing. But I have included that character in one of my skits about Mike Zero. So yeah, check out Flipped Out. He's in the description. My normal channels in the description. So check that out. Thank you all for joining. We're gonna sign out now.
Cool.
And be sure to come back. Hopefully we'll have we're supposed to have Wenger from Super Harem here to show his product, but didn't go through. But yeah, look forward to that in the future. Take care.
Love me some Wenger.